accidentally shit my pants. I squatted. I'm sitting there shitting over this log. Like, damn, I got to shit right in the field. Some of my soldiers are looking at me laughing. They're like, "Hey, Sergeant Ritter." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Man, you didn't bend over far enough. So all you're doing is shitting right into your BDU bottoms." I'm like, look down. I have any underwear on. I'm like, fuck, I am just shitting all of my BDU bottoms. So that kind of stuff happens,
Shit.
I mean,
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Trunk Tales. Don't worry, Nona and I will be back very soon for He's Wrong, She's Right. But for now, this is an advanced preview of our new show, The Trunk Tales, with myself and Grimzy News. Check it out, get subscribed, and we will see you on both channels very soon, I hope. And I do want to say thank you guys for supporting those of you that have stayed channel members on He's Wrong, She's Right, even though we haven't uploaded in several months. We do appreciate your support, and we are coming back. We will have a lot of great content for you guys, and it should be coming very soon. So enjoy this episode of the Trunk Tales. And if you're not subscribed, go check it out. And if you're new to the Trunk Tales, or if you're watching the Trunk Tales as it comes out, go get subscribed to our other channel. He's Wrong, She's Right. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week. Welcome to the Trunk Tales. I'm Andrew. My co-host Grimzy is here, and today we're joined with Sergeant Major retired, correct? Chuck Ritter.
Sergeant Major retired as of 1 July. Yep.
That's amazing. How's it feel?
Feels amazing. It was a good career, but it's time to do other shit.
I can imagine. So today, we wanted to talk about some of the things that happened with you over the course of the last couple of years, specifically regarding an article that was published that was, I read the full thing, for the first time earlier after you told me how to search for it. And I want to point out that above your picture at the top of the article, I love the title they gave you, Sexting Sergeant. It's amazing.
Sexting Sergeant is insane, bro.
They demoted me too, so that's cool. It's like, fuck, man, why can't it be Sexting Sergeant Major?
Yeah,
that's insane, bro.
If I remember, when this goes to editing, I'll put that screenshot in there, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, I know this article is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, there's some better headlines if you really if you go in the deep bowels of Google, because I was in like 13 tabloids besides those ones. Man, some people picked some good names. They were all basically cut and paste of the Jack Murphy article, but some people were pretty creative with what they were labeling me.
Yeah, I know back in the day, and I'm sure it's still the same, probably just, a variation of it with AI and everything now. But a lot of these publications, they take, like from the AP, for example, right? They take the article and it's pulled in over an RSS feed, and then they'll have like an editing software, AI, or sometimes even a real human editor. They'll go through and swap out they'll pull out their thesaurus and say, I don't like this word, let's change it to this word. And that's all they really do to it.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was all like just a slight recreation of the original article.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to read it?
I read enough. I definitely read enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how like you said, Chuck, they put the disclaimer there at the top, and didn't do anything about the context of the article. They were just like, we acknowledge that what we published here isn't true, but we're still going to let you read it.
Yeah, and they only did that after a pretty serious online fight where Anthony Anderson, who runs Stolen Valor, we went after him, and they're like, well, you got to sue us. It's like, well, litigation costs money. You know what doesn't cost money? Telling the truth. So what happened was we ended up harassing. We weren't harassing. We're just going after the author of the Daily Mail article and everyone else to the point where they're like, okay, hey, we're not going to take it down, but we'll put this initial disclaimer. And we're like, that's not good enough. Once they put the second one on there, like, all right, we'll leave you alone now, because at least it shows that this article's not true. And it still serves. I think it's a good point. Like, hey, you can go through this bullshit, and people can come after you and attempt to ruin your reputation, and for no money. Like, I didn't spend any money on litigation or lawyers, and you can actually fight back and get this stuff taken care of, right? Especially if you're in the military, because what they love going after people in the military, that because they know that your chances of being able to sue them for libel are almost nothing, because you could win in court, but if you can't show like physical damages, you might get awarded $1. So you're going to spend $35,000-$40,000 to go after somebody and win $1. And they know that. So a lot of these people have no problems going after military people by name, because they know that they're relatively safe from you doing shit about it. Even in the UK, like Daily Mail, like where it's pretty easy to sue somebody for libel. They knew, okay, this dude's a soldier. What the fuck's he gonna do about it?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times as well, you're probably not going to have the funds yourself to be able to afford the, an attorney. I mean,
Yeah.
these days attorneys are outrageous what they charge, and their retainers.
Crazy.
We just had to hire one recently. It was like 10 grand retainer, and they were billing at like $350 an hour.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, usually I have
my nut for that money. What? Got me fucked up. What are they talking about?
I usually have the cease and desist letter that Jack Murphy sent me, like hanging right behind me. I think I took it to work because I was showing somebody, but I've definitely framed that and put it up. When he said he was going to sue me for what he did to me, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh yeah, I remember that. You had
pretty
posted
cool.
that. Yeah.
What did I do with it? Is it here? Nah, I must have taken it to work, showing somebody. Yeah, but I keep it on the wall right behind me. Just as I figure if you're going to spend $600 to a pretty powerful law firm to tell me you're going to sue me over some stupid shit that you did, that's a pretty good gift from somebody I don't know. Like, you're going to spend $600 and send me an overnight package. Like, I'll frame that, put it on the wall. Like,
I mean, that's amazing. The length that he went through to do that, and then to still be writing is insane. That's a testament to like we were talking about before the show. If you have an audience of some kind, you can say whatever you want because your audience doesn't care if you're right or wrong. They just know, oh, you created a new hit piece. Now I'm invested in what this hit piece is. And if it comes back being wrong, I don't care because I've already bought in.
I mean, I think that's the issue nowadays, ain't it? Like, you don't have to be right. You just have to be the first one to put it out there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be right. There don't have to be no truth in what you're saying. There doesn't have to be any anything behind it. All there has to be is you have to be the first one to put it out, and it has to sound good. And you're good. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody, and that's the big thing with, like, the shit that I do. Like, you notice that people don't do research. People don't look into anything. As long as it looks and sounds believable, run it. It's a sad reality, especially with the media that's going on right now.
That's low effort. They don't have to invest much time. They don't have to invest much money. The thing that drives me crazy about it as well is when something major happens and I'm going, jump to Google. I usually do that still before going to any AI chatbot because all they're doing is, scraping these sites to find the same information I'm going to read anyways. But I'll open Google and I'll try and find the first couple of articles and I'll open it up and it'll say, it'll be like the picture of like the town sign or something like that. And then it says, this thing happened. We're waiting for more details. I'm like, cool. It's an amazing article. I'm glad that you got
it's lazy, bro. The shit is lazy nowadays, man.
Yeah.
Like Google. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Google is basically obsolete at this point.
Yep.
You can't find shit on Google. There's nothing you can find on Google no more. If you want to look for something, you got to deep dive because Google gives you exactly what you don't want to see.
Yep. There are people, so you can use I can't remember what it's actually called, but in search, you can frame your search in such a way that you can ask Google to search a specific website for what you're asking for. And basically people use it to search Reddit because Reddit's search feature sucks. So they use Google and they say on Reddit, find this information about Chuck Ritter, for example. And, the r/JSOC archive or whatever it is will pop up with people talking about Chuck Ritter. And it's crazy. It used to be such a useful tool. And nowadays AI highlights and everything like that, you read it. I just had one. I was looking up a specific statistic and in the AI overview itself, it was contradicting itself. So I clicked the links to its sources and the source was actually clear. So it misinterpreted the actual source and contradicted itself. It was something about, oh my God, what was it? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But
was it Dicks and Butts? Are you looking at Dicks and Butts?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. The number of them that have been in, what's his name? Yeah, Jack Murphy in his face.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I remember there was a video a couple years ago where I believe you were helping one of the soldiers move or get some of his possessions or something like that. Was that related to the case?
That was a couple photos. I'd hired the soldier to him and his son came over and fixed one of the rental properties. Did a bunch of work on it, and that was the soldier that actually put me in the tabloids. He was the one that actually his con artist wife with him went to Jack Murphy with this stuff. He was mad because I'd fired this guy in Syria. I was a Task Force Syria Sergeant Major in 2020, uh, over about 1,200 people, and he was just a guy. He was very competent at what he did. Phenomenal communicator, phenomenal JTAC, somebody that calls in aircraft, but he just, because of his ego, had made a number of pretty stupid decisions. Four to be exact. The fourth decision is what got him fired and removed him from his team, kicked him out of country. And he held that against me. And when I fired him, I said him down. I was like, "Hey man, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to be an asshole. Like I would like you to check your ego because that gets in the way, prohibit you from making clear decisions. And I hope that this is a pretty big blow to it, so you can get your shit together. You're gonna spend a year on the B team, and then you have a chance to go back to a team." I left. New guy came in, put him back on a team, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Chuck was just trying to fuck me over." And then he ended up with this con artist who I'm going to talk about this story in a minute. I'm not going to tell you right now, but we're going to come back to this thing about how she made it this whole fictitious person who was supposedly a seventh group sergeant major who was her dad, and she was texting him from the line, convincing him that Chuck Ritter was this bad guy going after him, which is all bullshit. Like this is some crazy shit we're going to go into that's fucking unbelievable. And I wish those guys were on here. I do have all the documents and sworn statements if you ever want to see them, but so years after I fired this guy, like people kept telling me like, Chuck, this guy's coming to the office saying how you're fucking him over and you're behind all of his problems in life. I'm like, man, I haven't even talked about this guy. Like I don't think about him. Like I don't. That's fucking weird. It kept happening, and then next thing you know, um, I'm in a bunch of fucking tabloids. And then, but once that was done, like it was like a year and a half later, all this other crazy shit kept happening. I kept having people come to my office, investigators like, "Hey, I'm investigating this female. You know her?" And they would give me a name. I'm like, "I don't know who that is." Like, no, you just knew her under this other alias. She has all these aliases. I'm like, oh, okay. And I would give them the investigation that was on me, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, this chick is a con artist, right? Because she's ruined like 33 careers or something like that." Like, okay. And then like all this crazy shit like that kept happening. And then one day I'm in my office. I was over at the NCO Academy, the Special Operations NCO Academy. And my ops sergeant comes in. He's like, Chuck. He's like, this. I was getting a tattoo, and I'm sitting there talking to my tattoo artist, and he calls his girlfriend, and she's coming to bring lunch, and she walks in, and it's this girl that was on Jack Murphy's Twitter, like just saying all this shit about you, the one from the article. I'm like, what? And I went home and I was like, man, this is crazy. I had this overwhelming feeling like God was telling me, like, you got to reach out to this guy because something's not right here. Like, this isn't like something isn't adding up here. And I was trying to fight it. And finally I just texted him like, hey man, I was like, I don't know why, like I'm reaching out to you. It's probably stupid, but I got this overwhelming feeling like God is telling me I have to reach out to you, even though you try to destroy my career in life. And he hit me back right away. He's like, wow. He's like, this morning I was praying to any power out there. I was like, because I'm on the verge of just like off of myself because I ended up getting involved with this con artist chick. He's like, you're not even gonna believe what I have to say. He's like, maybe you don't want to talk to me. He's like, the last person I ever thought would reach out to me is Chuck fucking Ritter. And then he told me, he's like, you know what? When you fired me, he's like, you told me that my ego was in the way and that you were doing it because you were hoping I would check my ego. He's like, you were absolutely right. And I didn't see it that way. I just thought you were trying to fuck me over. So it was like 2 days later, he comes over to my house. He puts his phone outside. He's all paranoid. He's like, man, I want you to think I'm like here in false terms. And he tells me this crazy ass, unbelievable fucking story. I'm like, what? Fuck? No way this shit's real. He's like, look, man, you're not gonna believe me. He's like, here's a bunch of numbers to her other victims, to include her first ex-husband, all these people. Just talk to them. So I start calling these people, and they're telling me like the craziest shit ever. I'm like, man, this is some wild shit. So at the end of the day, like, I ended up going to court with him and his mom and helping him out, and like being just a mentor to him, and then hiring him and his son to come fix the rental property. So he made some poor decisions. He ended up getting kicked out of the army. He ended up losing a special forces tab. Um, but to the now, what he couldn't do before is we were outside of a courthouse not too long. What's last year? And he looked at me. He's like, you know what? He's like, I wasn't much different from this crazy chick. He's like, I couldn't admit my own faults. I couldn't admit when I was wrong. I was real fucked up. My ego was in the way. He's like, I put myself here. I deserved all this. Like everything I did to get out of the army, like I did that. He's like, that was nobody else fucking me over but me. And I was like, damn man, I'm really proud of you, man. I would never think I would hear you say that. But that's fucking awesome. You know, I can
Okay.
respect it. It's pretty badass.
Okay. We just heard a whole lot of shit. That was a whole hey, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a whole lot to take in.
Yeah.
That's some shit right there. Okay. So what I really want to do is I kind of want to start from the very beginning and just give us a little bit of background on your on the military side of things. Because I know you said when you fired him, it was from a place, I think you said it was in Syria. What I want to do is kind of get a little bit of it doesn't have to be extensive, but just get a little bit of background for the military from where you started to kind of where you ended, so that we can kind of fill some of that gap.
All right, so that was 2020, right? We go back. I joined the army in 1998. I was a young infantryman, and I fucking sucked. I failed my first drug test coming to the military. That was a whole shit show. When I actually made it in the military, like my first PT test was like 93 or 94 points out of 300. Abysmal failure. You got to score 180. It was just like this fat piece of shit. 24-mile, 2-mile run. Anyway, somehow I made it, and I had leaders that took care of me, gave a shit about me. It's probably why I like to give a shit about people, because I wouldn't be here today if people hadn't actually invested. Like I had a $70,000 credit card fraud charge on me. Failed my first drug test for the military. I was a fat piece of shit in basic training, right? So, but I got fired from Mazio's once because I decided I got promoted to shift manager. I decided it was a good idea to take some acid. So I was like, man, I can't fucking close. I just wrote a note. I was like, I'm real sorry. The quarters are like talking to me, or whatever the fuck I wrote. And I was like, fucking walked out and got fired from Mazio. Anyway, that's the kind of person I was coming into the military.
Now,
And
okay, real quick, what made you want to join the military? You know what I'm saying? Because from what I'm hearing, respectfully, you were kind of a fuck up, right?
yeah, for sure.
What was the thing that made you want to join the military? Being this, quote unquote fat piece of shit that wasn't really doing much. What was that drive that made you say, "Fuck it, I'm going to the military"?
I don't think I had a choice. Like when I failed the drug test, I did it on purpose. I'd been talking. I was going to this special school because I skipped so many days of school. I don't think I ever like actually passed a class. I was going to the special school that they'd built for like people that were pregnant or coming out of juvenile hall. And I was just sitting on like this algebra class, and this recruiter kept bugging me. I'd thrown a party one weekend at my house. He came on a Sunday. I'm like cleaning up the house because I wasn't supposed to be in the house. I was cleaning it up so I could get back out and live in the trailer where my parents were making me stay when they were out of town. And I get this knock on the door, and I'm all hungover. And it's this fucking recruiter in uniform on a Sunday. And he's like, "Hey man, you kept telling me when you I worked at Radio Shack next to the recruiting station, which is where I got fired from for the $70,000 credit card charge." He's like, "You kept telling," which he didn't know about the time, by the way. Anyway, he said, "You kept telling me that you want to join the army, but you're not done with school yet." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, check it out." And he fucking pulled out my high school diploma and my transcripts. And he's like, "The school has agreed to let you graduate if you come to MEPS with me tomorrow, the in-processing center tomorrow, and join the army." I'm like, "Shit." So he left. I told him I'd go. I called one of my buddies up. I'm like, "Yo, bring over all the weed you got right now, because I got a drug test I got to take tomorrow." Right. So he's like, "What the fuck?" So go to MEPS, get my high school diploma and my transcripts. Like 2 weeks later, he's like, "Oh man, you failed the drug test." And I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." But I had my high school diploma and my transcripts. Well, a year later, I was trying to get my shit together. I was in college. I had a free ride because my mom was an instructor at this college. Man, I failed some other stuff, but I failed bowling class. So when I failed bowling class, and I was like, man, I gotta do fucking something, because this is not working out.
How the fuck do you fail bowling?
Man, I don't really know, to be honest with you. Really, I was going to the back smoking weed with the owner, because I was friends with
No,
the
yeah, that checks
owner and
out.
son.
Okay,
Yeah.
feel that.
That's hilarious.
But really, the instructor told me, he's like, "Man, if you just would have came out and like just rolled a couple balls, like it's not that fucking
Would have
hard."
just passed you right away.
So yeah, I was like, man, I gotta do something. I was like, I gotta join. So when I went that time to join the army, I had to get like letters from congressmen and everybody else because of the failed drug test and all the other bullshit. But obviously I got it. So yeah, the answer to the question, I don't feel like I had a choice. It's probably going nowhere. I was like, this is it. This is going to be the change that hopefully I can get my shit together, and it kind of changed my mindset, like how I'm viewing the world.
That recruiter
Absolutely.
to be pursuing you like that must have really been behind on his quota. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
effort to go through.
And
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's a testament to the instructors that you had, right? That didn't let you fail out and just say fuck this kid, right? They cared about you, and now I think that's the best thing people can do is you get somebody in your life that shows you kindness or caring in a moment where you don't fucking deserve it, and that shapes you for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, now you give a fuck about people.
Yeah.
Because of those instructors, you give a fuck about people.
And it
Yeah.
does matter too in the Army. I'll tell you firsthand. The first unit that I was in, I was a medic attached to military police unit in Korea. And so that's also where I had my surgeries were in Korea, and I couldn't come back to the States because I mean I couldn't even sit. So there was no way I was going to be on a plane. But the leadership there was so abysmal. I hated every day of my life that I was there. And as soon as I left there and I went to RTB and saw how great the Army could be in that kind of unit and the professionalism and the big boy rules as we called it, right? I was like, I have to get out. It solidified my decision because I knew that as soon as I PCS from RTB and went somewhere else, that I was going to end up with horrible leadership or potentially end up with horrible leadership again. And so that drove me to get out. My wife swears up and down that if that didn't happen to me, I would still be in. She thinks that I'm still that even though she didn't know me 20 years ago, she still thinks that I'm that person that I probably would have retired.
Core leadership, man. Core leadership.
Yep.
Okay, so now you've got these instructors that are telling you you're basically you're not allowed to fail, right? We're gonna get you to the right place. So at what point does it become, almost like your Rocky moment where you start to actually get down and be able to do these things that's required of you?
I don't know if there was ever a rocky moment per se, but when I got to my unit, I had some really good leadership. And when I got out of basic training, I still wasn't like this phenomenal stud. I think I was scoring like a 212 on my PT test, which I was like, that's amazing, right? I'm like a stud. And then I show up in the infantry unit, like, man, you can't be showing up with a 212. It's the fuck you doing? Like it's horrible. You gotta be at least like a 260 or 270 or above. So I had to take a PT test almost every week for a while, but I had leadership that invested me to the point to where they made me read infantry doctrine every day and then get tested on it. And it just instilled in me the need to like, hey, this basic stuff is what's important. And you gotta have you gotta be intrinsically motivated or internally motivated versus externally or extrinsically motivated. Like that's the key. Like you got to be motivated to do this shit. So I just started getting in shape. It's probably like a year and a half into my infantry career. Was actually like scoring a 300 on my APFT. I was working out twice a day. I was very proficient. I was put on a machine gun team for like a year and a half, so that got me in shape because as an assistant gunner in the military, you're carrying like 140 pounds of shit, everything the gunner doesn't want to carry. So I think that all like really set me up for success. And then it was about 2.5 years, 3 years in, the Special Forces recruiters came in, and I already seen some SF teams come in and do some training and on the island that we were on, because I was in Hawaii. This is in Oahu. And what really impressed me about the Special Forces guys is we'd helped them run some ranges, and I was just a young E3, E4 at the time. They made the time to come and give us certificates of appreciation, and like shook our hands. And these are like E7s. Like I'm like, damn, these are like godlike people, like taking the time out of their day to come with this young nobody and just shake your hand and tell you they really appreciate your support. I was like, that kind of blew me away because I hadn't really seen that kind of stuff in the infantry at that point. I was like, I think that's like I saw what they were doing. Like come in, they flew in helicopters, they fast roped in, blew off all the doors in one of our close quarters compound, and like we're clearing stuff and doing cool shit. I'm like, wow, that sounds like something I want to go do. So at that point in time, I felt like I was like actually pretty driven. I was in a good place mentally and physically. I was in a good place where I was just dedicating time to knowing my craft and my trade and really studying and making sure that I wasn't just saying that I was good at what I was doing. I was actually proficient, which I think that's a problem a lot of times where people like to say that they're pretty good, but the
So
reality is,
the question that I would ask, because I was motivated to get and stay in shape for myself. It was never about for the army, especially with how I was treated. I just was like, I look good, I feel good, I'm getting the women. That's all that really matters to me at that point. I don't care what the army thinks about me. But what were you really thinking when they were holding you accountable and having you do those PT tests and having you study doctrine? Did you hate every moment of it, or did you really buy in at that time?
no, I was bought in. I had a whole thing. There was like the Spec 4 Mafia is a thing, right? So all the team leaders there were this game where I would be a little bit, I'd make an insult or do something stupid to where they'd have to smoke me. But that was the game. As okay, man, I got to get in shape. So I'll do some stupid shit during the day. You guys will smoke the hell out of me. On top of working out like twice a day too. So I was bought in at that point. I'm like, let's go do this. Let's just be good. Not that like when I first came in the infantry unit, I was obviously a dumbass trying to learn my way, but I got to the point to where I was like, okay, like I feel like, um, you just got to be bought in. It's a hard life in the military like that. Like even as a young infantryman, you're showing up early as shit. You're doing PT every day. You're there just training hard. You're out in the field a lot. Like I mean, shit. To this day, I think that we're out in the field training more in the infantry than I was a lot of times in special forces, just because it's just the nature of the beast. You're just always out in the field. It's a rough life, but it's fun. And I think that if you're driven to actually just be good at what you're doing, man, you'll be successful.
I I it always amazes me. I get so motivated when I hear people talk about like when they were actually motivated and driven. I'm like, fuck man, like these guys really do enjoy this. They really believe, everything that they say. Cause there are those guys and gals, I'm sure that, they say it, they try to make themselves believe it, but they never really fully buy in mentally and physically, but they're like, this, it's a thing I have to do. The army says I have to do it, or my job says I have to do it. So I'm going to do it, but then to hear people who like really do it and then they have that career success, you're like, fuck man, he really was motivated. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's when you really got to make that transition of doing things for yourself. Like when you can really be truly intrinsically motivated, like you're doing this shit because you want to be good. Like I know even if I got to go clean a shitter, maybe it's just clean a shitter, but I'm putting my name on that. And so I'm going to make sure that's the best shitter cleaning job anybody's ever seen because not only my reputation, but it's my internal fulfillment. If I go home knowing that I slacked on that, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I'm going to fuck up that shitter because I'm a lazy piece of shit, that's how I'm going to do everything. And people should know, like, man, like when Chuck goes and does something, he's just going to fucking, he's going to be committed no matter what it is. And I think once you start living your life that way and you're like, man, these are my internal core values, I'm not going to shirk that. Like, um, doing what's right, regardless of consequences, is something I'll always live by. So why I got shot up in 2013 to the point to where I died on the operating table, and it took me a while to fucking recover from that. But it was going out to save a wounded Afghan in a kill zone. But that's how I live my life. Like no, like this is going to be risky. I'm going to go out here in this close ambush, and I'm probably going to get fucked up. That's okay. It's worth the risk because this is the right thing to do. I don't know this dude. I don't share his culture, his religion, but he is our Commando, and if he's captured, that's success, or that's failure for us, not success by any means. So this is the right thing to do. But that's how you just, if you can live your life like that, like hey, that the right thing to do might get me in trouble because people aren't going to like that, or the right thing to do might be X, Y, Z, whatever it might be. Like if you can live your life because you're internally motivated just to do the things that are going to ensure you're fulfilled, because it doesn't matter what the fuck anybody else thinks. Like no, this is going to fulfill me because on my deathbed when I look back, I'm going to look back and be like, man, I know that I dedicated the majority of my time to making a positive impact on the world around me, not just saying that I'm good or saying bullshit or playing a part or fucking lying to people or playing an act. Like, no, I actually attempted to make, maybe I wasn't successful. I attempted to make a positive impact on myself and all those around me. And it was always for the right reasons. I'm going to be like, I'll die a happy man. I don't have fucking money or anything else for that. I think like when I was in that early infantry stages, when I really started thinking like that, like, no, I got to be authentic. I'm never going to sacrifice that, even if it pisses people off. but I'm gonna do shit for the right reasons, and I'm gonna fuck that up because I'm a human. But like when you do that, you got to be driven because it's for you, not for anybody else. And it sounds selfish when you say that, but the key to life is balancing that selfishness with selflessness. You can't be selfless if you're not first being selfish and taking care of yourself. Like, how can you go do shit for other people if you're all fucked up? Right?
Yep.
It's that balance. You got to find that middle ground.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you had that mindset before going the SF route. So that
Yeah.
mindset was already being kind of rewired in your brain before you even decided, hey, I'm gonna go the SF route.
Yeah, I was like, man, 50 grenades. That's what it's about.
Okay. All right. And so
Sorry, I had there's some Tim Kennedy shit in there, but for no
Yep.
reason. Anyway,
so okay, now you seen the cool fast rope explosion shit. So what was it like to what was the process like to join or attempt to join the SF?
so you go to selection first. So I got in trouble for that. Me and another guy got in trouble because our unit was going to JRTC, Joint Readiness Training Center in Louisiana, which is a big exercise. Like, you guys can't go to selection. Like, we're going to this big exercise. But once you're on orders to go to selection, like, nobody can really stop that. So the unit was pretty pissed that we were going, but we went. Me and my buddy who also made it, but we went. It's 3 weeks long. You fly to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. You come in. They put you in a little hotel for a day. They put you in these sterile. At the time, it was sterile greens with nothing on them. You get on a bus. You go out to about an hour out to Camp McCall, North Carolina, and then they make you sew these little white tags on there that have your roster number on it, and you go through 3 weeks of a selection process, which it's brutal. It's still brutal. It's probably harder now than it was when I went through. And I barely passed that thing. Like, if I was a cadre, I wouldn't have selected me. I had to go to the board. Like, I damn near didn't make selection for a stupid decision. And yeah, so I made it through selection. And after that, for at the time, it was about a 2-year process once you made selection to go through all the training to become a Green Beret. So I came back. I'd made the decision that I didn't want to be a Green Beret for some reason. So I was on orders for the 82nd Airborne. The Special Warfare Center had called me. They're like, hey, like, you're going to you're going to the Q course. At the time, like, they needed people. They were very short. So they changed my orders, and then I wasn't airborne qualified yet. I went to jump school en route to the Q course, and I ended up breaking my ankle on my very first jump in jump school. So I was in a cast for like
Mm.
3 months, and they were like, hey, you're going to need to the Army. I'm like, man, because I had been forced to study all the rules and regulations, I knew that you can't PCS a broke dick. It's on profile. So I got in my car, I drove my ass down to Fort Bragg from Fort Benning. I immediately signed to SWIC, so then they were stuck with me. And then they had to pull staff duty until I got my cast off. And then I got to go back to airborne school and go through the Q course. Otherwise, I would have recovered and gone needs of the Army, and I would have been fucking somewhere else.
My question is, who is in your ear giving you all the tips and tricks to what you needed to do though?
Nobody at that point. At that point, I just, I'd gotten really nerdy with understanding the rules of the game. Something I've always preached in the military is like, you don't have to be constrained by the rules, but you should know them and you should use them to your advantage. Because the rules, like, hey man, I'm not making this shit up. This is what the rules said, right? The
And
rules
this
said
was
you
pre
can't
9/11,
PCS
right?
me. Yeah, it's just pre 9/11.
So you needing to put your head in the books in
No, this is
while
post
you were
9/11. Sorry, yeah, head in the book. Sorry.
so you needing to go through the books while you were going through infantry school and being forced into going through that is kind of what sets you up for success later on when you needed to do certain shit to be able to make it through.
Yeah, it set me up for success my whole career. I always preach guys like, hey, know the rules of the game. Take the time to understand the box, because in special operations, people like to say, like, we don't do that. We operate outside the box. Like, maybe, but if you don't understand what's in the box, which is all your doctrine, rules, and your regulations, guess what? You're not operating outside the box. You're just pulling shit out of your ass. So understand the box first, because a lot of that stuff works and it's going to help you. And once you have a solid mastery of that, then you can effectively operate outside the box. But I started learning that when I was a young infantryman. Like, hey, really learn the rules of the game, because most of these things, like, I'll give you an example. In all my combat experience, I have never found things on the battlefield that are superior to basic United States infantry tactics as found in the Ranger Handbook and what used to be 7-8, which is now, was it 318, whatever the manual is. Like, those are the basic tenets of that. Even in special operations, like, that's what works on the battlefield. So having a solid understanding of that is what sets you apart. It's not this cool shit like the sexy stuff. It's just all basic principles and fundamentals that you have mastered, just like shooting, just basic stuff over and over and over again until it's just automated in your brain or physically.
Right. Okay. What now when you so obviously you have to graduate jump school.
Yeah, so I had to go back. So I
So
went back, got
what
the
year
cast
was
off
that?
back.
What year was that you graduated jump school?
That was early 2002. So I think in January, might go January, February, March. So maybe March or April is when I went back and did my 4 jumps. Came back and went to the Q course, which the Q course starts at it's phase 2. Selection's phase 1. Phase 2 is small unit tactics, which is it's kind of like a mini ranger school. And then come back out, you go to your weapons portion, which I was an 18 Bravo weapons sergeant. So that's about 3
Well,
or 4 months
how
long.
was the Q course? Can you let us in on how difficult the Q course was?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you figure even right now, the average selection rate is between like 17 and 28%, I think, of people that come to selection actually pass. And then once you pass selection, um, you know, a lot of people feel, I think there's a 20% failure rate in the rest of the Q course, right? So I think from start to finish, it's like 10 to 15% of people that come and want to be a special forces person actually end up making it. I mean, it could be a little less than that.
Do you
So it's,
do you feel like selection and the Q course they're actively trying to make you quit, or was it more of like trying to build you to get to that point?
nope, nobody's ever trying to actively make you quit. Back selections is very professional. Like they don't tell you anything. They're they're almost like robots out there, right? And if you voluntary withdraw, and we don't want you anyway, right? Like we want you to be able to. The way selection is set up is it's all individual events at first, so we're putting you under a lot of pressure. Like you're out in the woods a day and night for hours, just land nabbing on your own. You're doing individual rucks and runs. We want to see how can you operate on your own in an environment that's fairly damn stressful. No, look, man, I don't give a fuck how badass you think you are at 4 o'clock in the morning at night when you're walking through the woods and you hit a banana spider at face level while you're doing land nav, like you're gonna scream like a little bitch. You don't give a shit who you are. That's fucking terrifying, right? And that will make yeah. So that's a good test right there. Like shit, there's a couple times I thought about quitting. I'm like, I don't know if I want to hit another banana spider. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
especially when you're hauling ass because you're like, oh, you're trying to, like that thing's somewhere. I don't care if those things don't hurt when they bite that much. That's a big ass spider. Anyway, and then when you move into a team phase, team week. So now we want to see is like, okay, you can operate individually. Now when we put you in a super high stress environment and it sucks and everybody wants to quit, are you still going to pull your weight? Right? And everybody we're looking at like, is this guy shaman? Like, are you still going to pull your weight? And when it's impossible shit, or are you going to start slacking? And then it goes back to like a really difficult individual event at the end. But that's kind of what you're looking for in selection. And in the Q course, like there's nobody's trying to fail you, but it's tough. Like in the weapons course, like where you learn how to really mess with any weapon in the world. Like sometimes you're out there with like Stinger missile trainers, like at the end of the runway, like going through all your different like the Stinger missiles, but also like all your foreign weapons, mortars, so you can operate, repair, and use almost any weapon system in the world. That's a lot of shit. So you're getting tested. Like you'll go in there, do all your math. Like, okay, here's a whatever. Like, what caliber is it? Like what's the range? Like just a lot of technical questions on every single weapon. And then you got to go out there and use it and do it and operate it. And then you go to a whole mortar section where you don't have mortar ballistic computers. You got to do everything analog, and you got to pass that. And that's very difficult. And every specialty has its own thing. Like you have medics, you have engineers, um, you have communication specialists, and it's all just very difficult because you got to know a lot of shit. But it's still all basic stuff. There's nothing sexy in there. And then once you get through that, like, and nobody's trying to screw you over, fail you, but there's standards. So if you fail, you fail. You a lot of times you get recycled, so you can try it again. And then you got a culminating exercise, which is Robin Sage, which you put them all, you get all together in a fake operation attachment. Either you jump in or you get this long ass movement with like donkeys and other crazy stuff somewhere between like all of North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and you're just out there doing unconventional warfare for a period of time. And then you come back out of that and you go to SEER school, which is also tough. It's a hard ass school. You're getting your ass kicked and you're hungry and tired. And then you got to go learn a language. So the last thing that we did, and they sometimes they change up where these things are on the Q course. But for me, the last thing was language school, where it was like 3 months learning French, which you got to maintain that language your entire career. You get tested on it every year. So I'm really
Did you
glad I was
choose
tested on
French? Did you have a choice in that?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm about to say, I don't know what the fuck would make you choose the wee fucking language, but all right.
Yeah. I got a lot of French friends, but let me tell you, like, I did not enjoy speaking French.
Can you still speak it?
I'm not trying not to. I'm not can.
People say it's a sexy language, but I like when I hear it, it doesn't. It sounds to me, it's very similar to German as far as like tone. Like I don't. It's not pleasing to the ears.
And it's an interesting language because there's like it's what it is. They don't have a whole lot of extra shit like English has. But when you're speaking it, even if you like slightly screw it up, but the French will tell you like no, this is not how you say that. Like, I'm just trying to. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Yes. Okay, let's move on. I'm not trying to be like
my confusion is who the fuck told you French was a sexy language?
damn.
Women say that. That's one of the. There's a term for it. Like
Yes, burly women with hair under their armpits. That's not who the fuck told you that.
the next time somebody says that to me, I'm going to play this clip for them.
There you go. Yeah.
J'aime le femme de grand. No, is it the? Was it grand femme? I don't even know. I can't. Shit, maybe I can't speak French anymore. I don't know.
I never thought that shit was fucking. I don't. What the fuck? Stop talking to me, bro.
All you gotta know is it's like kind of like the Italians, like hey.
Can't fucking do it, man. I can't. There's no way.
But before we continue on more of the story, what were some of the rumors of your generation? Like, there's always rumors that people hear, guys, he jumped out of the plane and parachute got caught in the trees and he fell and broke his leg and crawled the entire land nav course. What were the stories of your generation?
The biggest one I think was like, hey man, when you're training, you got to be everything's fast. Like you got to train when you're rucking. Like you got to be like basically running backwards when you're pissing and just pissing, running backwards until you're done pissing and turn around. Like this, you don't have any time. Like shit like that. Like so I trained that when I was in Hawaii. I was like training, fucking, may not have to be that fast.
Did you try it?
I mean. The reality is, man, if you're pissing running backwards, you're probably gonna fall down. So then what happens? It's hard to cut it off. So then you fall, and you got like a geyser of pee going up for a minute, or not a minute, but a second, and that's gonna go somewhere depending on the wind. So it's just dangerous. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Pissing in the wind. Pissing in the wind.
Yeah, actually, in a combat trip, I pissed in my face by accident. Let me tell you, like there were some pants that were issuing for a while that was like made in China, and they had the wrong like. It was a little bit too high. So it was if you were wearing like cold weather gear, like just to get your dick out was super hard. We're in the firefighters like I got pissed. So I finally got my dick out and my hand slipped and my my cold weather underwear slipped up, which is pretty thick. It hit my dick and it aimed it right at my face. I was pissing in my face for like 2 seconds. So anyway, I don't know why I told a story, but that happened. That's always stuck with me. So
oh shit, that's some Bear Grylls shit right there, man.
So you got to be careful, man. Like there was a time when I was a young infantry team sergeant, or not team sergeant, sergeant. I was a team leader. Accidentally shit my pants. I squatted. I'm sitting there shitting over this log. Like damn, I got to shit right in the field. Some of my soldiers were looking at me laughing. They're like, "Hey, Sergeant Ritter." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Man, you didn't bend over far enough. So all you're doing is shitting right into your BDU bottom." I'm like, look down. I have any underwear on. I'm like, fuck. I am just shitting all my BDU bottoms. So that kind of stuff happens,
Shit.
I mean,
oh shit. Oh, shit.
Back then the infantry, like your boots are bloused. It's like, man, how am I gonna get rid of this poop? My boots are bloused. Like, what the fuck do I do here? So
you just grab a leaf and just scoop it out. What the fuck? What did you do with the shitty BDU bottoms? I'm confused.
I don't remember. I remember like arguing, like, well, fuck, am I gonna take my boots off and like get it down? That's gonna make a streak of poop down my leg. I think I just grabbed it with some wet wipes, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember. Solid and not like that creamy, wet or diarrhea type shit.
What in the fuck
No,
are
it was
we
not.
talking about right
And of
now?
course,
What the
nobody
fuck?
came to help me either. They got more friends, and they just sat there and watched me, deal with the situation. And I didn't hear I heard about that for like months after that.
Coincidentally, and I mean completely unrelated, but a couple of years ago, I was on the Drinking Bros podcast when they were still here in Wilmington, and Ross is a Ohio State grad, and I'm a Michigan fan. So JT was there. If you guys, Grimzy, I don't know if you know who JT is, Jared Taylor from Black Rifle and Drinking Bros and all that. And then Dan, of course. We're sitting there, and Ross and I were talking about betting on that year's Michigan Ohio State game. And JT asks if I'll do the diaper bet. And I just said, yeah, because I thought he was going to say that I had to like take a picture wearing an adult diaper. So I don't know what he was going to say. And he said, you sure? And I said, yeah, but I don't know what it is. And he goes, but you'll do it. And I said, sure, I'll take the bet, whatever. And Ross sitting next to me is like, fuck no, I'm not doing that bet. And he was confident. At that point in time, Ohio State won like 7 in a row. And so JT goes on to explain to me what the loser has to do. The winner wears a diaper, shits the diaper, and then the loser has to change their diaper, wipe their ass, all of it like they're a child.
The fuck?
Yeah. We never ended up going through with it. We ended up doing some like a jacket thing or something like that year. But yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. What the fuck is going on here? What do you
We're talking about shit and pants, so I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay, well, I have questions now. Now I got fucking questions. Who the fuck thought of that?
I don't know. Your guess is as mine.
And how do you just randomly how do you just force yourself to shit in a diaper? Like I don't think I could do that.
I'd imagine maybe you would wait until you knew you had to shit and put it on real quick.
So what you're
would
telling
would they film it?
I don't know. I blindly accepted it. We ended up, like I said, not going through with it because
what you telling me is a grown ass man is gonna put a diaper on.
Yep.
He's gonna shit in that diaper.
Yep.
Then he's gonna call you.
Yep.
And say, hey, I shit in this diaper. Come over.
Yep.
Then you're gonna proceed to drive to that man's house.
Yep.
And you're gonna lay him on a table, put his feet up,
yep,
undo the diaper. I don't even know why I'm getting it. Move his shit over, wipe him, clean the diaper, and then go home.
Yeah, that's about how it was explained to me.
Yeah, you got some fucked up friends, Drew. I'm gonna just let you know. You have some fucked up friends, and don't invite me to that shit. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Okay, don't invite me to that shit ever in life.
Would they black out your cock and balls? Like what if you're like somebody like me? Like if I don't groom right, it looks like I butt squeeze a tarantula. So does that get like how does that work?
What the fuck?
We never made it into the details, but
like you know what I'm saying? And if it is tarantula like, right? You know, he's gonna move because the hairs are gonna start, popping out of the fucking like what? All right, you know what? Take it out my check. We didn't talk about this. It's going in the episode, but we didn't talk about this.
Oh man.
Okay, now that we're done talking about shit and diapers. All right. So you make it through selection, you make it through the Q course, you make it through everything you need to. I think you said Robin Sage and Sear School.
Yep.
And after that, and French.
That's probably one of the toughest parts. Like I am not good at language, so that should kick my ass. But anyway,
you know how crazy that is. That after all of that, the toughest part for you was learning French.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get through language school, and now what? You graduate completely.
Oh yeah, so.
But that's where it starts, right?
So we graduated. Show up to the unit, we sign in, and like, hey, 30 of you guys that just graduated have prior infantry experience and have your expert infantry badge, you guys are going to go back and be key course instructors for 6 months because they're doing a ramp up. They're like, we have to double the size of our output right now because of the wars. So yeah, we had to go back and be instructors at the small unit tactics phase for 6 months. I'm thinking we're about to get on a bird to go to Afghanistan. Came back and then was on a bird to Afghanistan like 3 weeks after we
Okay,
signed
wait,
back in.
real quick. What when 9/11 happened? Do you remember where you were at?
Yeah, I was in Hawaii. Yep.
What stage were you at in your career when 9/11 happened?
I'd already gone to selection, so passed Special Forces selection at that point, and I was just in Hawaii, getting ready actually to go to the 82nd Airborne Division. So I got woke up, really early in the morning there, and I was like, holy shit! And then it took like 2, 3 hours to get into work, which is normally like a 5 minute drive because of the gates. It used to be open post. There was no, there was no like hard gate. People just see your sticker and tell you to come on in. So yeah, and then that was a clusterfuck for a while.
What was your thought process of like, because at that point you're going to war,
Hmm.
right? So what's your thought process on it? Because I know some people are apprehensive about it, and then you have some people who, this is the whole fucking reason they joined the military was to go to war, right? So what was your thought process on the fact that now for 100% fact you're going to war?
Mm, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't think there was any like fear there. It was just a matter of, okay, how is this going to pan out? Where is this going to be at? What are we going to do? And Hawaii, we immediately sent guys out to do security at places like Qatar and a couple of other places where they figured we were vulnerable or would be vulnerable once we started doing things. So we had to get like real world ammo, get people out the door for that. But for me, I was like, well, shit, I'm about to go to the 82nd Airborne. So in my mind, I was like, what'll probably happen is these guys deploy. I'll be stuck back here. I'll go to airborne school, and I'm going to miss out on the war. I think that's what I was thinking in my head at the time, which didn't happen. And obviously, I spent the past 20 years fighting those wars. But yeah, I think at the time I just thought I was going to miss out because of the way everything panned out. So it's more disappointment, I guess.
Out of curiosity, I thought about this earlier and forgot to ask you. What was needs of the army at that point in time when you were talking about having uh, to sign in and having failed, and trying to stay on the special forces track? What was needs of the army at that point in time? Do you know?
I don't remember. I don't even think there was any like anything crazy going on, like any stop loss stuff or stuff like that.
So we had, when I was going through medic school down in San Antonio, they were always threatening us with becoming 88 mics and the fuel supply specialists, because they were all being blown up all the time and all the vehicles
Mhm.
were being bombed and IEDs and everything. And I
Mhm.
swear to God, man, I've never been more motivated to make sure I passed a class than thinking I was about to become a fucking truck driver.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. It's a pretty good motivation technique. It probably wasn't real, but they probably used that to,
Yeah.
great advantage, obviously. So,
Yep.
And I asked that because, like, y'all are, prior military. I've never personally had to, so it's always like it's always intrigued me to kind of figure out the mindset of going into something like that, right? Because I mean, it's very different, at least in thought for me, of being in the military when there's no war going on, and the thought process of I'm going to the shit. You know what I'm saying? This is
mhm.
gonna happen. So, and I know it's different for everybody, but a lot of the guys that I talk to, like, that's pretty much the reason why they joined the military, because they wanted to go to war.
Mhm.
So every time we get somebody on here that has been deployed in the combat zone, I always like to ask, the mindset of everything, because it kind of helps me realize, what's going on at that point.
I
Um,
think I think it's like a football team, right? If you're playing like a professional sport and you're training all the time to play the game, like you want to go test yourself on the field, right? You want to go. How would it feel if you spent 10, 15 years as a professional sports player? I'll use football as the analogy, but you were a football player and you never got to actually go play a game, right? It was just all practice. So I think that's kind of the mindset, at least in combat arms, is you're like, man, I really want to go test myself on the battlefield. And that's not logical a lot of times, especially if you got a family, other things. You're like, why would you want to leave your
Well, yeah,
family?
you know, in a civilian standpoint, when you go play football, you're not getting shot at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's I think that's where people don't, especially a lot of from on the civilian side, people don't kind of understand the stakes here. When we're talking about going to combat zones. So I like to ask these questions because it gives the civilian mind kind of a put yourself in their shoes kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to fucking you're not going to play tackle football. You're going to get shot at and do some shooting. So
Yeah.
it's a very different thing. And then you said for 6 months you had to become an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
That was interesting. We had the Fort Benning tactic certification course come down, and everybody went through that. Oddly enough, like I got distinguished honor grad. My buddy Kevin Owens got honor grad, and some of the cadre that had been there for a minute like failed. So I was like, okay. Well, I mean, it was a good indicator that all my studying and paying attention and trying to be good at my craft was good because we went through that. It was like basic infantry stuff up to the brigade level, and it was super detailed. But to me, it was like, man, shit, I've been reading this stuff every week. Even to this day, man, I'm a weirdo. Like if I'm in the bathroom, I might be reading the Ranger Handbook and other shit, even though I'm not even in the military type of stuff. Uh,
Did you
so
ever
that was
feel,
cool.
did you ever
What's
feel
that?
like an imposter? Like, having just graduated from the school and then turning around and becoming an instructor and not having that real world experience?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That was interesting. I think having an expert infantryman's badge and doing the infantry things, that's all we were teaching there. Small unit tactics was okay, but again, you're trying to teach it in a way to where people can use it with indigenous forces as a Green Beret. So yeah, you feel like we weren't primary instructors, we were assistant instructors, so it's not like we were able to lead in front of
I
a
got you.
class, which was
Yeah.
which was fine.
Is that a big thing for y'all? Is that a big thing, that imposter syndrome? Because
Uh,
I hear it a lot, right? So it's, again, I keep going back to the civilian standpoint, but like in a civilian mind, it's like, bro, you've done everything you needed to get to this point. But for y'all, when you get there, it's like that ain't shit. We're nothing compared to the people that we're trying to live up to. So is that a real thing that happens at almost every stage? Is that imposter syndrome?
I think it mainly happens like when you start moving into a new role. For instance, I was a Green Beret on teams for shit, how many years before I became a team sergeant? At least 7, 8 years before I became a team sergeant, right? So, and at that point, I was a weapons sergeant, and then I became a Special Forces Intel sergeant. And then, but once you step into the shoes, even though I've been doing it, now you step in the shoes of a team sergeant who's the highest ranking NCO on a Special Forces detachment as a Master Sergeant 88. Yeah, because now you're going into something that you haven't done before, right? So you're always gonna, or you should, you feel like that imposter, like, well, shit, like, am I actually gonna, am I actually competent enough to do this? Because everyone thinks they can. When you're on a team, you're like, shit, I could do this better than this dude. Um, but then when you like, I'm telling you right now, there is nothing on this fucking planet that is as stressful as being in charge of 11 other dudes who think they're incredibly good at what they do, but they also know and think that they're incredibly good at what they do, and they think they can do a better job than you. Like a bunch of man children. Like that is a stressful ass fucking job. And if you have a really good team, people should be like right on that borderline of being cocky because they're so good at what they do. Um, that is extremely difficult and it's fucking exhausting. I always tell people like, hey man, when you're at the end of your 2 years or even 2.5, 3 years of a team sergeant, if you get another year, you're gonna be mentally done from just dealing with that environment, which it's rewarding. But yeah, you do always have imposter syndrome, at least going in initially. You should, because every time you go to a different job, just because you were really good at what you're doing before, now you got to be humble enough going to your next position to be like, you know what? I don't know fuck all about doing this job right. So let me actually take a step back and realize that I'm a human being. I probably don't know as much as I think I do. At any point in time, I'm never as good or as bad as I think I am. So let me take a step back and actually learn what it is I got to do instead of being an arrogant fuck. If you can do that, you'll get over imposter syndrome pretty quickly, in my experience.
My one time when it really hit me was when I got to RTB, and it was one of the first times that I was instructing RFR class to one of the classes. And what it was for me was the fact that because everyone's stripped of rank and everything like that, you don't know out of that class of 300 people or whatever in the Derby Dome, how many of them are also medics? How many of them are E5, E6, E7, whatever? They have they've deployed, have done the job for years, or, whatever, and they're just there to, get another tab or school under their belt for promotion. And I remember going up on that stage the first time to teach RFR class and being like, these guys are going to fucking crucify me because I'm going to say something wrong, or I'm going to use the wrong terminology this time, and I'm going to space out or whatever. It ended up not happening, but I was genuinely nervous that there was going to be somebody in that room, and one day I might be under their command, and they're going to remember that I was the jackass up there teaching them RFR class.
Yeah, that's a real thing, right?
Yep.
Especially if you don't know.
Yep.
If there's people that are better than you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, you go through your 6 months of instructing, and then what happens from there?
Show back up 3 weeks later in Afghanistan. As a brand new cherry Green Beret. Get to Kandahar, Afghanistan. There for about 2 weeks, waiting on a flight out to the fire base where I'm going to go. Get on a Chinook. I'm all kitted up, like just brand new kit. Yeah, like flying out here, going to go to war. We fly into the fire base, about an hour and a half flight in. Ramp drops in the middle of nowhere. And as I'm coming out, it's like a bunch of dudes, like jacked fucking dudes in ranger panties with their shirts off and like goggles on, all tan and riding four wheelers. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck? And there's definitely gun trucks out on the periphery, like pulling security, but definitely not what I expected. And like, hey, get your shit, get on the back of this four wheeler. Took me over to the A camp. It was A Camp Lane on the Arghandab River, and yeah, I was out there for 7-8 months.
I can't imagine, because you were over there while I was like still in high school. And I remember, after 9/11 and everything like that, swearing up and down, I was like, there's no way I'm never joining the military. It's never going to be me. My uncle was enlisted at the time. He was at Bragg as well. He was a Seaburn NCO in the 82nd. And then I think he flexed over to group for something a couple times. I just remember traveling down here to visit and not really understanding. And I mean, he's since passed, so I can't ask him, but I just remember, him telling stories and all these things. And he called me after I got a DUI. That's how I ended up in the Army. He called me and just calmly was having a conversation with me, telling me that I needed to fix my shit and that I needed to, join the Army to square myself away, and just being adamantly like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I'm not joining. I'm not going in. And then to think, having conversations with guys like yourself who were actively in during that time, what do you think was the roughest period when you were in? Because everybody always says those early years, like 03 to 07, or maybe even 09, were kind of the worst. What do you consider the worst time?
I mean, there's all different types of worst times, right? I think like, later in the war, you had a lot more restrictions and weird stuff early in the war before technology really hit us, where we didn't have internet at the fire bases. So the command couldn't make you put up a 30 to 80 point PowerPoint slide every time you want to go to a mission. They just had to rely on you sending up maybe a 2-page Word document over a radio. During that deployment, we could do whatever we wanted to. I mean, we just said, hey, this is our intent. This is what we're doing. And you could do it like, and then later in the wars, it was very restrictive because of technology, where it allowed commanders to be a lot more micromanaging and ask really stupid ass questions that didn't make any sense. People that completely like had never even been on the battlefield, like, wow, hey, are you taking assault ladders in this mission? Like, no, we're not, because we're walking in 30 kilometers. Like, yeah, but you should probably take assault ladders. I'm like, no, I'm not carrying a fucking assault ladder for 30 kilometers. There's a ladder in every compound in Afghanistan. I'll blow a door and take a ladder over the compound. Like, well, are you sure that there's ladders in those buildings? Well, yeah, motherfucker, this is my fucking 8th trip here. I'm yes, shut the fuck up. Type of shit. Like, they couldn't do that in the beginning because what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think that's relative, right? Like, I think the most intense combat I've ever seen was Iraq in '05, where we had, I think we had 5 teams there. We were working with a 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in Talifar, and it got to a point where the ACR just lost so many people. Like, fuck it, we're gonna build a berm around the city. All y'all got fucking 7 days to get out. Anybody left, we're gonna start from the south. We're gonna move tanks up. We're gonna fucking blow the walls. The SF guys and their Kurds are gonna come in and clear the buildings. They want to go from south to north. And we're gonna destroy the city. And if you're here, we're gonna kill you. That was probably the most intense shit I've ever seen in my life, right? But then obviously it was after that that I got, it was '08 where I got blown up and they had to rebuild my face, and that took like 4 years to recover from. And then I got shot 3 times in 2013, and then I got shot again in 2014, right? So it's, even though that was the most intense combat, it wasn't necessarily the most catastrophic either. So it's, I don't know, it's relative. It's like, it was just, the whole thing was always weird and different. There's a lot of frustrations there. A lot of it was bureaucracy, or like even my last trip to Syria, like, man, we're spending more time fighting with the agency and the State Department than we were with, Al Qaeda and them, which we were doing that, but it's like, man, we're causing our own problems internally because we're all a bunch of fucking idiots, type of thing. So yeah, I mean, at some point, I mean, I'm gonna write some books that the Army is probably not gonna want me to write. And not that I love the Army, but like, man, if we can't start being honest with some of the stupid shit that we've done, we're never gonna learn our lessons, right? Like, let's just be honest with it. Yeah, man, we're humans. We fuck some things up. We definitely made a bunch of poor decisions throughout all these wars, that led to certain things at all levels. Let's just dissect them. Let's take them for what they're worth. Let's learn from them. Let's not do that shit again. Or we can just be like, no, we couldn't have done it better. This institutional arrogance that we got, like, no, our shit doesn't stink, man. All shit stinks. I don't give it, like, ain't nobody's shit coming out smelling like roses. So let's be honest, like, hey, poop stinks. Let's deal with it. Like, how do we clean this shit up better, or how do we not do this? How do you not shit in your pants so your fucking, your soldiers see it, type of shit? Like, make mistakes, you shit in your pants. You learn, like, well, I ain't doing that again. Every time I poop now, guess what? I fucking make sure that I'm at least another foot over the edge. Like, right, you fucked it up. You learn from it. You don't do it again.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
you know that better than anybody, don't you?
right. Otherwise, you just keep shitting your pants over. You're like, could have done that better. You're like, man, I don't know why I just shit my pants for the 10th time now. You're like, no, because you're a fucking idiot. Ego.
If you go the book route, so I'm vaguely familiar because I was on a couple of projects, like I was on the marketing project for Tim's book. But if you were to go that route and put out the book that you want to, would you still go through the DoD approval process and have them go through and redact things that shouldn't be out there, or would you just go straight to publish?
Depends. I think I'm more of the mindset now, like, fucking sue me. Like, I'm not gonna put out anything that's like secret or top secret or fucking anything like that. Like, I'll probably still push it through there, but I know how they work. So I've had other buddies publish books. Like, I don't even think they look at half that shit. They forget about it. You're like, hey, what the fuck's going on with this? And 9 days later, like, oh no, it's good, type of stuff. And they're not looking for like factual stuff. They're just making sure that you're not going to put out anything that's could be sensitive or anything like that. Which I'm not going to do that. It'll all be I won't use people's names. There'll probably be a couple people's names I put in there that I do think are moral cowards, probably should be outed. But yeah, and it's not going to be like me bashing the military. It's going to be like, let's use this to learn from it. Let's make this something that we can use actually as a tool, right? And I'll put in there like that I got 40 silver stars and shit like that too, because that's what everybody else does. And I'll probably say that I was a Navy SEAL a couple times, but
with V device.
With V device, yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna get into the Jack Murphy situation, but I just kind of wanted, because before we started recording, you told me that you were training for a 50-mile run, and you talked about how you're doing it because you wanted to show how even with, I think you said 34 different surgeries, you can still get shit done. So yeah. I kind of wanted to talk about a few of the most memorable times where you got injured and had to go through these surgeries. I think you said they had to reconstruct your face. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us what happened with that?
Yes, I got massive ID in 2008. We just got the first mine-resistant vehicles in the country. We'd already taken quite a few casualties through improvised explosive devices leading up to that, where we were out in the middle of nowhere in Helmand province. So we flew in, got some training on these new vehicles. As we're taking them back, they hit us with about a 500-pound bomb, killed the Air Force guy next to me, killed the driver, seriously wounded me, the captain. He had to get out of the military because his back was broken, and a guy in the back. And for me, it completely fractured. Like I had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 skull fractures, but everything from here down. Like if you look real close, there's like a scar that goes all the way down. They had to rebuild this, the nose, and they had to rebuild my jaw and my upper jaw for about, it took 4 years from 08. I think I finally got front teeth in 2012. I broke a bunch of ribs, crushed my lower body, really fucked up my right knee and my leg, which I would later get shot in too. So that one's always like kind of janky. And it destroyed both my hips too. I didn't realize at the time, but I had to have 2 hip replacements recently because my femurs were dead, and it was due to that blast. So yeah, that
Did
was
they ever
my
try to
first
med
Purple
board
Heart.
you or anything?
No, but I also made sure that I always kept my medical records, and then when it was all digital, I just made sure all my medical records that were off post and get put in there. So I wouldn't recommend doing that when I went to the VA. I was being a dick, but
Who the fuck reconstructed your face, Dr. Miami? Because you couldn't tell that your shit got blown
that's
up like
good,
that.
right? It was actually Army doctors. It was oral maxillofacial surgery at Womack. They did all of it. So
No, they did a fantastic fucking job. In that situation, you know, you always hear about survivor's guilt. Did you have any survivor's guilt for me and one of the guys to come out of that?
Not that time, but I'll tell you, I snuck into a deployment in 2010. I wasn't cleared medically. I lied on some medical shit to deploy. So our major came down. He's like, "Hey, Chuck," he's like, "You know how I know you're not supposed to be here?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, well, I called your surgeon for one. They said you definitely had a lot more surgeries on your teeth because 2, you're missing your front teeth still. So that's pretty obvious. And, yeah, so check it out. He's like, "I'm not going to kick you out of this deployment. When you go back, you can't be on an operational attachment until, you finish up everything." So I got back from that trip, and they deployed about 6 months after we got back, and about 6 or 8 months, I don't know. They deployed again, and I wasn't allowed to go, and they weren't gone that long. For my team, I got a phone call, and we lost 3 people from that team, and it didn't quite hit me then. But then about a month after that, I was getting a call from this guy, Dan Adams. He was the medic on my team that pulled me out of that burning RG-33 when I got blown up. He had gone to 10 Special Forces group, and his wife was calling me like 5 or 6 times. I knew he was deployed. I'm like, "Man, there's only one reason she's calling me. This dude died." And I was being a coward. I didn't answer my phone. So finally I called her, and she's like, told me what happened. He was a team sergeant. He was leading from the front. He got killed. And that's kind of where like it hit me, because we lost some people in 2010 too. I don't even know if it was survival's guilt, but I went into a deep dark hole at that point in time. Was on a lot of medication. That took a little bit to get out of it mentally. During that time frame, that was like 2011-ish. So it wasn't survival's guilt. It just all caught up to me. And
Was
then,
it more of like your thought process of being, if I was there, it wouldn't have happened, or if I was there, it potentially wouldn't have been one of them?
man, I don't even know. I don't think it was specifically that. I think I headed up all the funerals. So we went up and buried team leader, and we buried my good friend Marty Apollinar. He was my junior weapons sergeant. And then I spoke at Dan Adams' memorial and his funeral. And I think that's just, it kind of just caught up to me about the reality of the job, right? And at this point in time, I'd lost quite a few people that I was close to. Pretty good at compartmentalizing up to that point. I think at that point in time, I wasn't necessarily the survivor's guilt, or that I thought that I could change anything, but the fact that I wasn't there with them on the battlefield. Maybe I could have got my surgeries done sooner if I'd deployed in 2010. I guess I more felt like a coward, and then I felt like, I don't know. It was just not necessarily responsible, I guess, but just not, because I wasn't there. I was being a coward, I guess, is kind of
It's always the guys that are true team players that feel that way too. It's the guys that like feel the responsibility to their team, that I have a specific role, I have a specific job. If I'm not there, I've now put that burden on somebody else, or the division of that load across the team, and now they might potentially look at me as lesser because I put them in that situation. So I mean, I think that's one of the signs of people that are true team players, which is something that's expected of you.
Yeah, that was rough. It took me probably almost a year to get out of that hole, I was taking like massive amounts of stuff like lorazepam and other stuff that I probably shouldn't have been prescribed. But yeah, it was rough, man. It was like the most severe anxiety I've ever experienced in my life, and yeah, it's a pretty deep, dark hole.
It's tough, man. That's tough. Um, what was the next most significant injury that you had taken?
So that was the next year deployed. I took over a team as a team sergeant. We went to a place called Tagab Valley, and it was a wild firefight all day long. We got some intel that there was we were in these two battle positions and we were just pushed. They were like on top of us, throwing over hand grenades over there, that close to us, and the place is just a maze, like a jungle maze. You couldn't actually get fields of fire, so you're just going out in close contact, pushing them back, hitting them with a bunch, hitting them with what you could from the air, but there was so like much foliage that they couldn't even see in there. There's like really close combat, like you could touch people. We got some intel that there was a large force moving up from the south, and I went to the team. I was like, hey, uh, I'm going to take an element out. I'm going to get behind them. I'm going to ambush them before they get to us. We're like, okay. So as we were moving out, uh, it wasn't that element, but there was another element waiting in ambush for us. And as we went around this corner, it was me and about 4 Afghans. As a Green Beret, you don't have that many Americans. Like shit, you might be out there with just you and no interpreter with a bunch of indigenous forces for days and not see another American. But at this point, that was me, my medic, and a chemical guy, and then like 15, 20 Afghans. So it was me, Afghan platoon leader, and a couple other Afghans that were going out into this courtyard basically. And as we're pushing, we're going to start pushing to the right and go to the west and get around these guys. Well, they had set up in this close ambush, so all these machine guns immediately kicked off. Pretty massive firefight. The Afghan next to me got shot, and there was so much fire coming in, I just ducked right behind the corner, and I couldn't get back to him. And then all the other Afghans ran, so it was just me up there fighting. My medic was setting up behind us. I was like, shit, let's get the Afghans back here. Uh, and trying to get some aircraft in there. Unfortunately, it was right at the perfect time where most of the aircraft were refueling. So all we had overhead was some drones and 2 Apaches. I tried to call in some guns with the Apaches so we could at least suppress the far side of this field so I could get this Afghan out. But for whatever reason, both the guns and the Apaches weren't inoperable. They wouldn't work. I didn't want to shoot rockets. I didn't have anything else overhead. So finally, I got some Afghans back. It's like, fuck it, man. Like, I could see that the enemy was getting closer to this little crack. I'm like, hey, man, we got to get this dude. We're going to fight out there. I was like, Dan, he's a medic, and his helmet cam footage shows me getting shot. If you Google Chuck Ritter get shot, his helmet cam footage will pop up of me getting my ass handed to me. I was like, hey, man, be prepared to receive a casualty, probably multiple, because more than likely we're going to get fucked up going out here because there's a lot of fucking enemy. I was like, all right, so go around the corner, massive firefight, and like super close. Like there was 2 guys bounding, textbook style, like right in front of me. It took those guys out, multiple machine guns, and then multiple other people, like in the things with small arms. Ended up taking out one machine gun that was on the apex, like right in front of us. Thought I took out the other machine gun. I threw a grenade, and that went off. So I was trying to drag this Afghan. Thought we killed the machine gun, but that guy recovered and he started shooting to the Afghan platoon leader. So I transitioned and I was trying to shoot this guy, but I was off. Well, he transitioned to me. First round hit my right leg and it popped me forward like in a Superman pose, like knocked me off I was on a knee. It knocked me forward. So the next round hit me in my upper back on the bone right here and then rode down my back and lodged in my lower spine, but it broke through. It broke apart my brachial nerve complex. It broke apart my brachial artery. So it was like bleeding inside pretty extensively. And the last round hit my butt. But luckily, like as I landed in this shit ditch. It was like this, again, it always goes back to shit, right? But like the Afghans have these shit ditches, like this stream of poop. And when you see the video, you can see like the stuff on my face. That's poop. It's green. It's poop. But there's a little wall in the shit ditch. So all the rest of the PKM rounds like went to the wall right in front of me, or right behind me rather. And I was like, all right, PKM only has 100 rounds. Like, now I can kill this guy. I know where he's at. When I got up to kill this guy, I couldn't raise my rifle to use it to shoot this person. I was like, okay, shit, I'm shot pretty bad. And it was a such where I couldn't grab this guy with my right hand and I couldn't grab him with my left hand. So I looked at the Afghan team platoon leader. I was like, grab this dude. Let's get around the corner. So I pop around the corner, and then that's where you can see in the video where I'm like, Dan, I'm hit. And what you don't see is like the Afghan is recovered. the guy we're going after. He works on me, and then I had lost so much blood on the battlefield when I got on the operating table. I was crashing. I couldn't figure out why I was crashing. So that was significant for me because they didn't want to give me any more pain meds. They didn't want to put me under because they couldn't figure out why my blood oxygen levels were nothing. I was crashing. So they gave me enough disassociate to where I couldn't move, but I felt that entire surgery when they were fixing my artery. And the artery busted back open about 2 hours later, so I had to go back in there again. But that whole thing redefined my definition of pain. I didn't know pain like that was possible. So yeah, that was the next significant one. And then the year after that, I got shot again. I took another machine gun round through my middle knuckle here, and it blew out the side of my hand. So it blew out all the most of the bones. So this is all like cadaver bone in there. Um, that was actually pretty painful too. So yeah.
I don't I can't bring myself to understand in situations like this where you get completely fucked, right, by rounds, the will to pop back up and retain the information you have of where the fuck this guy is, and to pop back up and attempt to engage him again, right?
Mhm.
Because listening to that shit in the spots that you got hit, you would think there's no way you stand, let alone fucking raise your rifle.
Yeah.
So it's a mind fuck for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's a mind fuck for me to understand, to really go through the motions and put myself in your shoes of like, I just took 3 devastating fucking rounds, and my thought process to get back up and engage this motherfucker again because I know he's out.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me, man.
It's
That's
just all
it's
autopilot at that point. You're just on autopilot. You're like, yep, you're just in this OODA loop, this assessment and decision loop to like, nope, this is what we got to do. And like you try to take emotion out of it. You train yourself to where you're trying to think as objectively as possible. And that's just kind of how you start. If you could train like that, you start executing that way, and everything is just autopilot.
I haven't heard the
okay.
term OODA loop in so long. That just like I don't know why. That just brought back so many different memories. That's so funny. I completely forgot that was even a thing. That's how long it's been.
Okay, now we'll finish up on your surgeries, but I just had one more question that kind of just popped into my head. Was there at this time a big fear of Afghans turning on you guys? Because I know it's happened a lot. You know what I'm saying? They get a hold of these guys' families, and you have rogue guys that turn around and attack a fob that they're stationed
Hmm.
at. Was that a fear at that time?
Yeah, it's always a fear, right? It's always a thing like that. Like no matter who you're working with, so you try to build as much rapport as you can. What I found is like if you build enough rapport like, with the key people, they'll tell you something's up, right? Or they'll intervene for you, but you can never like mitigate it completely, right? So what I found personally, like man, once they know that you're willing to fight and bleed and die with them, and not there for yourself, like that goes a long way. When I came back the next year after getting shot that time, like the Afghan that got wounded, like he was like in the next year, but I saw him the next year, and he was like, "Hey man, I really want to thank you for saving my life." He got his fingers going off, and he shot through the leg, and I was like, "Man, man, like, yeah, but like you were definitely awake, but you weren't helping me like at all, like trying to drag you like a sack of shit. What happened?" He's like, man, I just convinced myself mentally that I was dead. I was like, okay. Um, but that kind of
and
stuff
and
goes a
and
long way too.
there's that difference, right? There's that difference in the will to fight, because you said it's a mental thing, right? It's like the fight or flight's trained in your brain,
Hmm.
but that just goes to show you that it's not trained in everybody, and that's why I think we have the fucking best of the best here as far as military goes,
Hmm.
because in that moment he had the body, the motor skills to be able to help pull himself, and
Hmm.
he was done while you were significantly fucked up and still we're pulling through, right? So I feel like that just shows the difference in will. So a lot of it feels to me like it's not just going through the motions, because you need the will to even be able to do that shit. And that's big. So 34 surgeries in total, you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, a lot of those were on
And
the face and whatnot, but a lot of the other ones, like I had my back fused, my lower back.
Or they had to do them in stages. It wasn't. They couldn't
105.
do it in one.
What we didn't know was wrong. Like when I got my back fused, it's like, man, my hips are still messed up. When they did an X-ray on the hips, like, hey, your hips are not only are they dead, but your left one's collapsed partially. Like you got to get this shit fixed. So I was trying to get out of the military a couple of years before I did, but I just made the choice. Like I'm not saying the army did this to me. We did it together. So I'm not going to be an invalid on the outside. We're gonna before I get out, we're gonna fix this together, and then I'll get out of the military. So I chose 6 months past my last hip surgery as my final out date because the Army's policy is you can't get out for 6 months until after a hip replacement or any kind of full joint replacement. And then, that's what happened. So that's why.
and look at you now. I see you on X doing fucking leg lifts on a fucking home bar with 2 bum hips. It's crazy to me, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's fast forward to Syria, where you finally we'll finally start moving into kind of what led you into firing the guy that you ended up firing. You said there was some mistakes made, and it was 4 in total.
Yeah, and there was more than that. There was a couple that he'd made before I'd got there, right? But I try to be as objective as possible as a leader. Like, okay, well, he did these things. He obviously uh, changed his ways. He's back on a team. I've heard nothing but good things. He's in shape. So I didn't count those against him. Right? I'm only going to go off what I can see. And yeah, so there was some incidences where he was threatening some people, like hey man, like you can't. This isn't what you're doing. You're not going to go up to this intel guy that you don't like and tell him you're going to like destroy him and intimidate him and shit like that. There was that. There was 2 incidences with that, and there was an incident with a female there where she felt threatened and uncomfortable. Um, and then during that incident, he ended up also threatening our one of our warrants. So that was kind of like that incident in itself. I was like the straw that broke the camel's. I was like, nope, we're done here. Um, you know, you gotta go home early. And he didn't get his deployment award and stuff like that. Got back like, hey, you're off your team. You need to fix yourself, right? So that was kind of the genesis of 2 years later, I found myself in a Jack Murphy article, which by itself, okay. But then a month after that came out, I was in like 13 other tabloids to include the Daily Mail. So that was interesting.
And he was already with. Her name is Kate, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure when he met her. He met her like sometime well after Syria. My first interaction with her was so this guy's brother is also good friends with like some of my best friends, very smart, intelligent guy. So we went out to this bar and I was with this guy's brother and my friends, and I'm at this bar and this female who I'd never seen before comes up to me and she's like, "Hey," and I told you earlier, like people kept coming to me telling me like, "Hey, Reggie's convinced that you're fucking over his career, going after him." I always thought that was weird. So this girl comes up to me and all my friends are there. They went and she's like, "Hey, I know who the fuck you are. You're Chuck Ritter." I'm like, "Oh, hey, hey, yeah, I'm Chuck Ritter. Who are you?" She doesn't tell me her name. She's like, you know, "I'm here because you're trying to fuck over Reggie." I look over and Reggie's like across the bar staring at me. Daniel Reggie, but we can say his name. He's in the articles and stuff. But I'm like, oh, like wave. He's like mean mugging me. She's like, you know, "We've got all the evidence of you and all these group chats talking shit about Reggie to all these high ranking people." I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, man, like let me see him. Like I don't think I'm in any group chat saying that, but I'll maybe like let's see it. She's like, "Why don't they're on my phone?" I'm like, "Well, do you have your phone?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "You've been trying to just ruin his life." I'm like, "That's some crazy shit." Like, I was like, "Hey, look, I don't remember doing any of this. Other people have told me that he's convinced that I'm doing this, but show me this proof. Like, I'll entertain it. Like, maybe I blacked out or something, and I magically went on all these chat groups." She's like, "No." She's like, "We're gonna come after you, though." I'm like, "Okay." She's like a 5 minute conversation. And later, like, I was checking my Facebook messages, and there was a request from her, like around the same time, like messaging me as some other name. And then, yeah, it's like 1, probably 5 months after that, she reaches out to me and she's like, "Hey, I ended up breaking up with Reggie and blah blah blah." She's like, "I just want to ask some questions because he's very abusive." And I was like, "Look, man, he was a great dude. Nothing against him. I don't know what you guys are talking about with me going after him." She was like, "Yeah." He's like, "He had me here. He beat me and all this shit." I'm like, okay. And then next thing I know, there's a phone call. There was an actual phone call where she called me. Um, there's an edited version that I didn't edit. They edited obviously, and there's a real version that I ended up giving to Julio Rosas, who wrote a correct article, where you can hear like Reg in the background, like, okay, say this and say that. And there's nothing like bad in the recording, but they were like trying to set it up to where they wanted me to say certain things, which I didn't. It's like it's a pretty I don't know. It's kind of an amateur movie, especially since they edited it, but didn't edit it out. They had a version where they did edit him out. I think that they gave the investigating officer, but the investigating officer was like, "These don't match, and this is fucking weird." And then she ended up admitting to the investigating officer that she made the shit up. But yeah, so that was it. Like, so I don't even know this chick. My only interaction with her was getting yelled at in the bar, and then a brief phone conversation and a couple of texts back and forth. The next thing you know, I'm like in all these articles. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah,
So for the people watching, can you just give a premise in your mind of what this article was and what you're being accused of?
yeah. So this article comes out, and and Jack Murphy called me, interviewed me, like, yeah, this is bullshit. You might want to look into like my reputation and this other stuff. Um, this article basically said that I'd fired this guy, and then I was going after his wife. So I was trying to sleep with his wife just to fuck him over, basically. If we had to just sum it up. So I fired this guy. So apparently there's a big scandal in Syria, which I've heard Jack Murphy say a couple of times that I don't know what the scandal was. Some people did some dumb shit, like, and as far as I know, all those people were held accountable for, to include the company commander. Like, he made some stupid decisions, and he was fucking punished for them. So I don't know what the scandal was. But yeah, came back freaking. So fired this guy. Was going after his wife, for whatever fucking reason, and then there was some scandal in Syria, and yeah, so I was just like this senior leader that was, corrupt and unethical, going after soldiers and then going after their fucking wives and shit like that. So basically what I said.
Okay, and where did the sexting sergeant aspect come into that?
Yeah, so that was the article saying that I was going after her, we were sexting and stuff. And legit, the investigating officer brought in this fucking binder of all these texts that they had given him, right? And his like looked like legit texts, like iPhone messages and other shit of me and her going back and forth. I'm like, man, this is fucking crazy. Like, but shit, maybe like I did black out and I did all this shit because it's obviously all right here, right? Like, it looks pretty real. And it was like, man, I like losing my mind. I'm like, man, this is fucking crazy. Well, like 2 weeks later, this dude reaches out to me who I'd known in group, and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He's like, "Look, man, I read the article." He's like, "Check it out, man." He's like, "This is what she does. She's very good at making fake texts, and she do this." And they showed me how she does it. Basically just text yourself. You change, you open up text as yourself. You text yourself, and it gives you a duplicate. You delete them, and then you change your own name, and you put a different picture in there, and then and you take screenshots, and it looks like you're having a fucking full on conversation with a person. Um, I do it all the time. If you look at my acts, I do it to people all the time. Like, where it makes it look like we had, like, now that I know how to do it, it makes it look like we had a conversation.
Motherfuckers having fun with it now.
Fucking that, like some Facebook messaging and shit too, which she does. Like, there's another way to make that stuff. But the reality was, once we start talking to these people, like, she uses a couple programs online to where she has all these fake numbers. So one of the things she was doing to this dude is she was texting the guy Daniel that she was with. She's a professional con artist. I'm going to find out, as her father. So we'd been having this year-long conversation, building this relationship with her father, who is supposedly this ex-7th Special Forces Group Command Sergeant Major who now worked up a Special Operations Command. And he was like, "Hey man, like, I know you're in this trouble and all this stuff's going on," because he kept having these investigations on him. He's like, "It's Chuck Ritter," but really what was going on was this girl was feeding stuff to the command, like all these fake texts about him being a racist and all this other shit. So she was feeding stuff to the command and then blaming it on me as her father. Um, Coming to find out, like, her dad's never been in the military. Like, he fucking hates her, never talked to her. But she would do the same thing, like, as her mom and other people, and talking to all her victims. What she does, like she plays like parts of her family in these fake texts, and she just like fucks with people and has them believe all the craziest shit. But her con's pretty much all the same. I was just collateral damage in her con against this guy. It was just a way that she could have control and kind of manipulate him, and then somehow like I was the fucking target of that.
So there's nothing financial about this. She just wanted to
No, it's
control
definitely
people, huh?
financial. Like, no, no, no. This is what she does. So she goes in, and she always has one husband, one fiance, and two boyfriends at any given time. And she plays the role of this traveling
I'm
nurse.
sorry.
So she,
I'm sorry. Can you say that one? Say that one more again, real quick.
one
What did you say?
husband, one fiance, and generally two boyfriends at any given time. Yeah, the logistics are crazy. Like, we probably need to hire her and have her work for the agency and go work in China or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, the logistics are fucking wild. Uh, Now I'll send you guys all the documents. When you read through all these sworn statements and then you look at the evidence to back it up, you're like, how
What
can this shit
the
even be real?
fuck?
But yeah, so what she does is she runs up their credit cards, she takes their fucking money, she finds ways to get them in trouble with the military or whatever. Um, right? So she's got that against them, and then she starts claiming violence and all this stuff. Like with this guy, she played the standard play where she moved all his furniture out and sold it, moved her furniture from storage in. Um, and then like did some faulty insurance claims where she got like $20,000 off of his insurance. And then at the end of the day, like she ends up getting him in trouble with their either um, unit or like if it's a cop or whatever with their agency. I mean, she's tried to kill people before. Like she had like some yeah, she definitely tried to kill one of her ex-husbands, and then another one like they can't prove it, but they think that she's the one that ran him off the road in his motorcycle. Was in the hospital for a while, but she ended up getting that guy thrown in jail for some other shit. Yeah, she gets people arrested all the time.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Pause. Pause. Pineapples. Real quick. The only evidence that Mr. Jack Murphy here had was the text that she created.
Yeah, and what they told him, and then unfortunately, like this dude's mom had reached out to Jack and be like, "Hey, can you help us? This is a con artist." The first victim had reached out to Jack because I got all those texts too. Like Jack, you were well aware. No doubt, when Jack wrote the article, I fully believe that Jack believed what he was writing was real. But where Jack fucked up with the article is he added three things in the article that aren't true. He quoted me as saying, well, shit, if they want to punish me, they can punish me. Like, I never fucking said that. I've got all the text between me and Jack, right? That nothing says that. I would never fucking say some stupid shit like that. The whole, like, there's three things that he added in there. They're in the documents if you guys want them that he just blatantly made up.
If you're okay, I can host and publish them publicly so anybody else can see them as well.
Yeah, I'll send you. Like, Anthony Anderson is the only other guy I think that has the whole packet. Like, I put all this shit because there's like sworn statements from fucking shit tons of victims. I gave it to the local DA when they're going to court. And the DA is like, man, this is a federal level shit. I can't do anything with that. It doesn't pertain to this particular case where she was getting this dude's mom arrested over and over on fake charges. She's like, that's a lot of shit. I can't do anything with it. I was like, okay. But I'll give you access to that drive. It's when you guys do read through it, man, make sure you got some bourbon or something because it's a fucking wild ride. You're like, what the fuck? Like, there's like stories in there, like this one dude, he was kids with her, unfortunately. He drove like an hour and a half to drop the kids off. So he drives back an hour and a half. It's Halloween. And he comes outside and she's out there with her new fiance and the kids in the neighborhood. He's like, what the fuck? And then he starts going to talk to his neighbors. She had gone to every single house in the neighborhood and told everybody that his wife was a stripper and that he was getting kicked out of the army for drugs or some other shit. Like what the fuck? Like what kind of crazy shit is that? Yeah, just wild shit.
So if I could, okay, so if I'm getting this right, the con artist woman, her main target is the dude that you let go in Syria.
Yeah, that was her target.
Okay.
She always picks like what she believes to be somebody that's kind of like a little bit emotionally unstable, going through some shit that she can control and manipulate.
Right. Okay, so he's her target.
Mm-hmm.
You end up becoming collateral damage that she uses, as leverage to his emotional side of things.
Yeah, because he himself was like blaming me for everything too. Like he even went through another. There was another girl he was dating. Him and this other girl went down to CID and said that I was doing cocaine and prostitutes, and that me and the old group commander at all the army balls were like we'd have a room full of women and drugs and shit. I'm like, man, I've never even been. I went to one ball in like 2013 or something like that. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah, like wild shit like that. So he's the one that was like bitching about it. She just took what he was complaining about because he couldn't take responsibility for his own shit. She just used that to her advantage, basically.
Okay.
Right. Like,
So then,
like he admits that shit. Now he's like, yeah, I was obviously part of the problem too. Um,
yeah, we'll definitely get into his part of this, right? Okay. So just still trying to put the pieces together here. So she takes what he's already pissed off about,
mhm,
and she starts creating text messages
mhm,
between you and her,
mhm.
and then between him and her fake father. Well, not fake father, he's a real dude, but his
Well, it was
not
yeah.
never in the military.
No, he's just a fake. Well, a whole fake persona. And that pile that I have I have the pictures of all those texts where she's playing her father too, and a lot of them where she's playing her mom to other victims too. Like they're interesting to read through. You'll see them all.
Okay, so yeah, we'll figure out a way to kind of put the timeline together when we're editing and doing that shit. Okay, so essentially, she herself takes this to Jack Murphy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then Jack Murphy then reaches out to you
Hmm.
to interview you on what's going on here.
Yep. So Jack does that simultaneously. An army investigation gets open, which it should, right? Because at first you're like, well, this isn't. This seems like it's weird. So we'll just do like uh, a unit level investigation. Like, nah, this needs to be at 15.6 because you guys people keep talking about Syria. I'm like, let's look into this shit, right? Like, if my whole thing is like, I'm a sergeant major. I can't be allowed to get away with shit. If I did something, fucking investigate it, hold me accountable. Fairly short
100%,
investigation.
because they found out it was bullshit.
Yeah, she actually came in and told the IO that he was. She cracked under pressure. He's like, hey, this shit doesn't make any sense. And she basically just said, hey, well, I had to do what I had to do to get the dude that was, going after my fiance or her husband at the time. Um, yeah, so that investigation was closed. Um,
Okay, so
fucking
then
nothing. I
that
gave I gave Jack a copy. I was like, hey man, you can FOIA this. Here's a copy of everything I got. You want to go ahead and correct your story? Nothing, right? Fucking nothing. So reached out to Daily Mail, same thing. Hey, they're like, you can go fuck yourself. I'm like, well, this is what the investigation found. Like nobody gave a shit, right? So I kind of like just didn't do shit about it for a while until like all this shit stuff started coming up. I finally reached out to this guy. I'm like, hey man, I don't know why I keep having investigators come in and all this other shit, but like I feel like God's driving me to call you for some reason. And he's like, yeah, he's like this is fucked up. And then once I got all the information, I had all this sworn testimony from all the victims and all this fucking shit. Reached out to Jack. I'm like, hey man, you want to correct your story because it's still populating on page one of Google searching my name makes me look like a shitbag. Crickets. Had other people reach out to him. So then at one point he sends me an email saying, hey, if you'll like sign a covenant, like an agreement not to sue me, I'll not sue you. Then we can come on my podcast. Like, no, bro, that's not how it works. And I sent him an email back. I was like, look, man, I don't want
what
to
the
do
fuck?
this, but at some point in time, I'm going to publish the truth. And, either you can be a bad guy in somebody else's story that's going to publish this, or you can be part of the solution. You can help, like, actually, like, help out this girl that's obviously a fucking menace to society. Um, fucking cricket. So that's when Anthony Anderson published all his stuff. That's when Julio Rosas wrote an article about it with the truth. It's like, hey, Julio, you don't know me. I could be completely full of shit, right? Here's everything. Ask your question. And Julio came back to me, asked some hard questions like, hey, this ain't adding up, Chuck. Like, is this real and real? So I gave Julio the audio from this phone call and all this other shit. And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, all this shit fucking adds up. So Julio Rosas published his article. The same thing with Anthony Anderson. I was like, hey, man, here's my entire military record. Here's fucking everything. Don't take my word for it. I could be full of shit. He did his own in-depth investigation, and then he published all his stuff. And that's when Jack threatened us. He overnighted a cease and desist letter. I got it on a Wednesday. Thursday, the head legal counsel for his parent company, Odyssey, contacted me like, hey, obviously the story's bullshit. We're taking it down right now, right? Because they want to avoid litigation. Um, to give it a couple of days. So yeah, so Murphy went through another law firm here in North Carolina, a very powerful law firm, tried to intimidate me. And he was talking about his story. They talked about like how that it wasn't bullshit. And then the other thing in there is he wanted me to stop talking about the Rolling Stones incident, where he was supposed to publish a story with the Rolling Stones. I don't know people are Rolling Stones. What happened was he didn't publish the Rolling Stones because they found out that at least 2 of his sources were made up. They didn't like that, so it was like a big thing.
Okay, real quick. My hold on. What I'm not understanding, how and when did you guys find out about the con artist woman and the many victims and ploys that she had? How did that happen? How did that go about?
I found out about it to a lesser extent. Like, okay, she's obviously a con artist. It's bullshit. Probably, I don't know, like when that guy talked to me and told me I should did her text. That's when I found out about, because he let me contact a couple other people that she'd fucked over. So I was like, okay, she's just a crazy chick, right? I didn't realize the depth of it until the next. So I think that article was published in March. It was like January, February the next year is when I sat down and I really talked to all these people. And I was like, wow, this is some fucking like really insane shit.
And
So it's really a web of you going to all these different victims, putting
Yeah,
together
and a lot of
similarities,
them have
and then
made
figuring it
videos. Like
out.
if you Google her name and look up the videos from all the other victims, like a lot of them have come out and like gave their story, which they're fucking wild.
I'll link
Um,
those in the descriptions as well. If I
yeah, that
whichever ones I can find.
I'll send you links to them. And I'll send you all the stuff too, so you can kind of go through it.
Okay.
And with Murphy's lawyer, like I was like, hey man, like I just kept sending him emails like, if you guys want those public and record, if you guys want this shit in public record, let's go for it, right? There's like I got texts between Murphy and all kinds of other people that he doesn't even know I have, where um, you know, Murphy's basically admitting to knowing that his story is fucked up, but he wasn't going to fix it because his lawyers told him not to talk to me. Like, just do the right thing, man. Just do the fucking right thing. My name was getting fucking run through the mud for a long time. Shit, I was working with the Philadelphia Phillies, and they Googled me, and that's the person that popped up, and they're like, "Hey, man, like even if this is true or not, like we can't have you here, right?" Shit like that. Which I got a working relationship again with them now, but it's like the fuck that type of shit, and it's just like, hey, man, just now, like Murphy, he says that he never wrote an article, so you've seen the things where he posts, like he's like, "What article?" Like he acts like he never wrote one because his parent company took it down. Um, yeah, so. That's that. He threatened to sue me for his own bullshit, and then now he says he never wrote an article. When
Did
obviously he wrote a fucking article.
were her victims only military, or did she go after other professions as well?
No, there's a couple other. It started in Ranger Regiment down at Fort Benning, and then no, there's some people in the agency, a couple law enforcement, I believe, and even their parents are like fucking victims too. From what I've gathered.
How
Yeah,
old is she? Do you know?
I think she's in her 30s. She's got a shit ton of aliases.
To have that
She's
many
Mac.
victims and be in your 30s, that's crazy.
No, it's fucking wild. She's with somebody right now that doesn't believe that she's a con artist. So
Because
she's good at what she does.
I think the craziest part is it's not just the Jack Murphy article, right? Because that's just
Hmm.
that's the stepping stone right there.
Hmm.
It's the subsequent article after article after article that came out after that, because
Yeah, a month later, right? Yeah, right.
it's
Yeah.
like a game of what's that game, the phone
Telephone.
game, yeah, the
Hmm.
telephone game where it goes from this guy who has all the wrong information, and then more wrong information gets added and more wrong
Hmm.
information gets added until it becomes it was already not truth, but so far from the truth it doesn't even make any fucking sense at that point.
Yeah. And once it
And
was out in the major outlets, like I was getting phone calls from people from my hometown, my family, my sisters. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so like
and I
everybody's like, hey, did this happen? Everybody thought it happened. Like everybody believed it, right?
and what people don't understand is this is really affecting somebody's life, right? I feel like nowadays we're so detached from humanity that we forget that what we're talking about has to deal with real people,
Yeah. And the
you
internet's
know,
forever, right? Like that shit stays
forever,
there.
100%. And somebody like you who's got such a decorated, you know, military career, how fucked it is to take somebody's entire life that they've dedicated to their country and basically almost fuck it with one article. It's crazy to me, especially coming from somebody like the con artist who does it for pleasure. Not, I mean, because in my head, you're not doing this just for money. This is a sport for you. You get off on being able to control situations and control people and ruin lives. So I think that's a big thing, especially with a lot of these media outlets, that they need to understand is when you don't do your research, you are fucking up somebody's life. You know, somebody's mom has to see this, somebody's kids have to see this, and so it's not just them that has to deal with it. It's their entire family and everybody they love that now is under fire because you decided you didn't want to do your fucking research and put out a bullshit article.
Or let's say you do put out a bullshit article, but when the facts come out, it's your responsibility ethically,
1000%.
not just to correct the article stuff, but hey man, publish something else that now populates in search feeds that puts out the truth.
And the thing as well with specifically with search, I mean, it's what I do. People are only Googling you when they're mad at you, investigating you, background checks, whatever, those kind of things, or confirming something somebody else said. So, and Google is going to continue to show those results ahead of everything else because they're getting clicks and people are staying on page and reading and trying to figure out who is Chuck or what is this story about. So it's like the term that I like to use as a self-fulfilling circle jerk, where it just continues to populate. And the only way that you can do it, you can send a request to Google and say, I need this pulled down because it has private information or whatever. Or you have to go through the court and ask the court to force Google to do it. It's not a very easy task, unless, there's pornography involved, images that you didn't give permission to people or consent to people to put out there, or doxing and things like that. Those are the only things that they'll do it basically immediately. But and even if
you're in the military, it's hard to fight against it because, like for me, the unit was like, you can't address this online and go after this. People like, no, I'm gonna, because I knew the rules. I sat there with all the Army's rules for what you can and can't do online. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go after this dude. I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. Like, no, you can't do that. No, because it's hard. Like, so you're gonna spend money in the courts, like you said, to go after them, or you just have to sit there and take it, right?
And then to top it off, when you don't answer people's questions, then they start spinning up stories of, well, Chuck won't talk about it, so obviously it's true.
Yeah,
and
you can't. Go ahead.
Even if you do get it taken down, right? The narrative is already there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see it a lot.
People already believe that.
Yeah, you see it a lot with all the like the political shit, right? Even if something's proven to be wrong, none of that fucking matters. The only thing that matters is what you read first. Like you see a lot of these big publications, right? Like CNN and AP, they'll put something out that's completely false. Then they have to, then they get reamed and they have to go back and they have to edit it and fix it. But nobody remembers the edit. Nobody remembers the fix. They only remember what they saw in the first place. And half
like
of
the Daily Mail story, right?
Yeah.
The Daily Mail story is just an edit. That's still up there.
Yep. Half of these people don't even read the whole fucking thing in the first place. They read a headline. Right? So as soon in your case, you see the sexting sergeant, that's all the fuck they seen. That's all they need to know before. And based off of that, now they have everything they need to know about you without knowing a fucking thing at all.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing to me. And that's kind of why I do what I do with my videos and the research that I put into my videos, because it's like you need to know what the fuck you're talking about before you speak. And it's just it's foreign language to people nowadays.
Yep. Nobody wants to put in the effort. Everyone sees the
100%
the quick make of creating the next TikTok challenge, and that's all they care about. They're like, I'm going to be the next trend by just making up some shit, and if it doesn't work, I didn't put any effort into it. I didn't put any money into it, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Now, at this point in your life, Chuck, after everything's said and done, do you feel like you fully recovered from everything that happened to you? Do you feel, vindicated at all, or is it one of those things where it's like, fuck situation, it is what it is. You fuck it, we ball and move on.
No, it's actually a good news story. I wouldn't take it back. I don't regret that it happened. Mainly because let's take Daniel Reginbald for example, right? The guy that was responsible for putting me in there. As I said, the courthouse was him. He's like took responsibility for all his actions in life. I was like, man, that's fucking awesome. And I had the chain of command coming down on me. They're like, hey man, why are you hanging out with this guy? I was like, I'm not hanging out with him. Like that's you're twisting the truth. I'm investing in this person. For me, like I am a Christian man. I know what the Bible says. I know that the parable of the lost sheep says that if you got 99 people that are saved, and you got that one that's out there flapping, like your job as a person that believes is to go out there and recover that lost sheep because that's what's fucking important, regardless of the consequences. Uh, you know, so yeah, could that bite me in the ass investing in that guy? Sure, but you know what? He's in a much better place. He's out. He's successful. He's got a good woman. He's hanging out with his kids. He's got a great job. He's not having problems with making stupid decisions because of his ego. Like he's doing well, right? That's a good news story. I talked to him this day. Like I was texting with him earlier. Like, they're doing. I talked to a lot of this girl's other victims all the time. Everybody's doing well. I made a lot of friends and I'm relationships out of this whole thing that I wouldn't have otherwise. People reaching out to me and whatnot. So to me, it's just another thing that's like, man, how do you take any shitty situation in life, anything? Because life is never going to stop trying to kick you in the balls, is what it does. So you can either sit there and be woe is me, or you can figure out a way to turn that into a win, not just for you, but for everybody else, right? Like how do you turn a shitty situation to something that actually has positive effects? So um, yeah, now I feel like Jack Murphy sits on this pedestal of like he's trying to hold people accountable for ethical stuff. Like, man, I've researched Jack in his career. Like this motherfucker wasn't any kind of good ethical soldier either. He had a problem with drink on deployment. Left as an E6. Everybody's like, yeah, he was competent, but I wouldn't fucking trust him. Like, okay, whatever, man, you got out. But why? Like, then this is just the only unethical thing he's done. Like, now you're gonna sit on this platform of ethical um, journalism, but you're not ethical enough in yourself to say, hey, man, I fucked that up. Or when you do something like that, just to correct the record and do that, you're going to say, like, oh, I didn't fucking do that or whatever. Blame Anthony Anderson because we did on Twitter one time. He started attacking Anthony Anderson for the whole thing. Like, no, man, you're responsible for that. You wrote the article. Own your shit.
Yep.
Just put out a correction, man. Everybody would respect you. Like, hey, man, I also got conned. I wasn't initially trying to like just be this dickhead happen. Like, okay, cool. But no, now you're gonna double down on like all lawyers and it's just chucking them being assholes. Like, no, man, go fuck yourself. You're an unethical fuck, and you know it. Everybody else knows it. Somehow you still got fans. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna keep fucking jabbing at you until you own your shit. That's fucking life. Own your shit, man. We're all allowed to fuck up. We're all human beings. We're gonna fuck things up. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do stupid shit. Own it. Don't be a little bitch that thinks that, oh, the I'm up here because I went to fucking Columbia. Like nobody gives a fuck about that. People care about what you do every day, and what they see is that you're an immoral fucktard, and that's what makes people like me mad because I don't like that, man. I don't like seeing people that are immoral fucktards. Be a person of your word, do the right thing, have some fucking integrity, and do what's right regardless of the consequences, even if you screwed it up. Like, man, I
Yep.
made a mistake. Move on.
Yep. I mean,
go ahead.
there's a time to double down, and there's a time to be a man and own your fucking shit, right?
Yep. Just
You
own it,
gotta
man.
you gotta read the fucking room.
And people love it. People applaud people all the time. You see it on every
1,000%.
platform.
1,000%.
They were like dug in forever, and then they finally get the information. They come out and they say, I deleted those posts because I now am in possession of the truth, or I've learned the truth, or whatever. And I'm here to apologize and say that I should have done a little bit more research, or I screwed up, or whatever. But they don't want to do that because that opens the door in the future for the next article that they post. Oh, did you get this one right? Are you sure that everything?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's done.
I think the big word that you said, Chuck, that really resonates with me is fucking integrity, bro. That that's what I base my brand off of. That's why my people that you know fuck with me, love me, is because I'm big on integrity. Because in my mind, if you don't have integrity, I can't trust anything you fucking say. Right? You can be wrong. Everybody makes a fucking mistake. You said it yourself. You can make a mistake, but the integrity it fucking takes to know you're wrong and come out and say, "Listen, I fucked up. I had a con artist in my ear feeding me a story that I knew people were gonna fucking eat up. I fucked up. This is the truth behind it. I'd like to move forward." When you double down on something like that, it just shows the bitchness in you. You move to ruin somebody's fucking life that put their heart and soul into something for so fucking long, and to turn around and know you're wrong and double down and say shit like, "What article, motherfucker? You know goddamn well what article we talking about."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of anybody who can fucking sit there and know they're wrong and know they did some fuck shit and turn around and double down on it. To me, you can't be trusted, and nothing you say can be trusted. It's a terrible human fucking trait to be able to do something like that.
And the Wayback Machine, I can't even talk. The Wayback Machine exists. I mean, actually,
Yeah.
crazy thing yesterday, I was looking for a specific tweet that Phil Labonte had sent years ago, and I couldn't find it, but I thought it was just because I was searching for the wrong words or the wrong, string of words, because I was getting related tweets that were coming up, but I wasn't getting what I was looking for. So I asked Grok, and Grok gave me an entire summary that said, yes, this tweet existed. Here's several people that have posted screenshots, and he's acknowledged saying it. He just had deleted the tweet. Now that stuff like that exists, between the Wayback Machine, which has existed forever, but it doesn't really log everything from everywhere on every day, but it's a good starting point. It's a good research to look, hey, was that article ever on this website? If it was on a news site, it's going to turn up in the Wayback Machine because that stuff's populated all the time versus somebody who makes, a post and then deletes it, or their personal website or whatever, and then deletes it or changes it. So for people to adamantly lie that they didn't say, post, do whatever something, it's just not going to fly anymore. It'll fly for people who won't look into it, but it won't fly for people who actually want to investigate and learn the truth.
And people have used the Wayback Machine for Jack's article and try to come at me online for that, like recently, like, "Oh, what's up with this article?" Like, "Oh, well, I mean, there's a Daily Mail thing that has a thing like there's a reason why you can't find that, online, why you got to use a Wayback Machine." People come at me with that quite a bit too. It's interesting.
I can only imagine. I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say when Tim took his website down a couple weeks ago to make some changes, first thing I thought was, whatever he changed, it's going to be on the Wayback Machine and somebody's going to find it. I didn't care to go look into it, but I had people from Black Rifle, people that have known me for a long time, like Matt Leviner and stuff like that. They were texting me, asking me if I hacked his site and took it down. I was like, no, I didn't even know it was down. They're like, yeah. And like, he's scrubbing social media stuff. And I was like, I don't know what else has happened recently, but I promise you I had nothing to do with that. And sure enough, when I looked into it, it was just the DNS records had been removed. He had pulled the site down himself to make changes to it. But I was like, dude, it lives forever. It lives forever. You need to
But
make better decisions.
But even guys like Tim, like, because Tim actually does a lot of really good shit up there, right? Like a lot of good causes. I bet you if I know if he just came out and he was like, "Hey guys, like I was full of shit on these specific things, Purple Heart, everything. I am truly sorry for that. I'm going to dedicate my life to these fucking things and these causes." And he actually puts his money where his mouth is. People aren't gonna. People are like, you know what? I can respect that.
I don't know though, because didn't he recently did that, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was kind of half-assed.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was like,
I
I
don't.
unintentionally talked about the Bronze Star, but then he didn't cover the rest of the stuff, right? And like, are they? Because people are like, well, these exaggerations hurt anybody? Like, no, but it goes back to that integrity thing, right? Now, like, okay, well, can you really believe this guy? Is he really doing shit for himself? Stuff like that. But it's just an integrity thing, man. Be a man of integrity. Be not a man, just be a person of integrity, man. Like, and this is like in the military, man. The only secret to leadership in the military is be a person worth being around, right? Be somebody that does what you say you're going to do, that says something, and you do, you mean what you say, and you do whatever you say you're going to do, and you have integrity. And when you screw up because you're going to, because you're a human being, you own it, right? And you're like, hey, man, yep, I definitely did all that shit, and I fucked it up. I'm sorry. I'm legitimately sorry. I don't even, I don't even deserve to be forgiven. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then you actually do those things, and
So
people are rightfully pissed at you.
100%. So obviously you seen, the half-assed apology that came out, and you seen that nobody was buying into the shit. At least from what I could see from X. Do you think that if he would have done it 100% and wholehearted and followed through, that people would have been able to accept it?
I think more people would have. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be some people who are like, well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I
How do I
feel
ever
that.
trust him again,
I
right?
feel
But I
that.
He,
think like people
I
people
feel
like
that.
people like that arc, man. They like to see people like, freaking rise again and shit. People also like the arc where like, somebody's up here and they fall. Um, but people like that, man. They like to see some humility and people just owning their stuff and just being a normal person. Like, just do it, man. Like, um, I don't know why that's such a hard thing where everybody just doubles down on their
he
bullshit.
had
I
already
mean, it's just
made so many enemies, um, like with Save Our Allies and stuff. And I'm not saying that what Save Our Allies did wasn't good, but between he and Nick, and then the other people in the organization, Sarah Verardo and Chad Robichaud, and all the stories and things that I heard and the pictures that I saw while they were there, and him taking selfies and stuff like that, and just like, come on, man. Why are you really there? You're there to build your brand. You're not there to act. You don't care. You don't care about helping these people. And he has made more enemies to because he wants the spotlight than he would if he just did the things that he has done without putting his face on it every single time. And I partially understand why. You know, it goes back to like nonprofits in general. If you're not telling your story, if you're not telling people the good that you're doing, you haven't done anything. People don't like to look at that. They're like, why are you telling me this story? Why can't you just do good behind the scenes? Because then I can't fundraise. People are going to donate to me if they don't know what I do. But
yeah,
with Tim, he makes it about him, not about the organization, not about the work. And that's the problem.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
then sprinkling some bullshit in there, you're like, okay, what's real, what's not?
Yep.
I before we got onto this subject, I think you were talking about how the people and the victims, how they were all successful and they were doing well, and they're they become better people. But what I
Mhm.
kind of want to know is, um, how's it fared for you? You know what I mean, as far as your success and your happiness and your growth through the end of this process. Um, you know, what's Chuck's life now? Is it, did it happen for the better? Did you come out of the end of that tunnel better than before? How did that look?
Yeah, absolutely. Came out better. I mean, it was like I was questioning my own sanity. Like I was really stressed out there for a while because, man, like, did I really do this stuff? Like, what's going on? And like the command was coming after me for like stuff. Like, it wasn't the command. It was like people that, I have my own internal enemies. I was a podcast host for a podcast that's still going on, but it was like a very successful podcast. And, certain people in the military decided they wanted to come on the podcast that were higher ranking, and they were trying to tell me that they were gonna, like, we're gonna come on and we're gonna do this. Like, no, you're not gonna do that. Like, you are up there, you are pretty high ranking, and you might be the current SMA, but I don't work for you. So you can come on and do our show if you want to. And that caused some issues. But I was a little bit more respectful than that, a little bit. But it's like, no, I know what the chain of command is, and this ain't it. So don't come try to bully me. I don't give a shit. I'm an E9, like, I don't know, trying to make E10, type of shit. So, but that whole thing, they were trying to use this story against me, and like, oh well, this and that, and blah blah. Go fuck yourself. So it was stressful. But at the end of the day, man, like, like, became really good friends with like a lot of people that had reached out to me in very prominent media positions that helped me through a lot of stuff. Uh, and I would not have any of those connections or even like if you look at the board of advisors for Objective Arte, which I'm the director of operations for, I mean, I got people like Matt Eversman from like Black Hawk Down, and friends with Tim Jensen from Grunt Style, and Charles Faint, who owns the Havoc Journal, runs MWF at West Point. Like I wouldn't know any of those guys if it wasn't for this shit, right? Like Grunt Style brought us down to go on their podcast talk about this. Um, so the amount of people I've met and just amazing humans like would never have happened without this. That guy Daniel Regenball actually being in a really good place in life. Like if he hadn't gone through all this bullshit, even though it sucked for him and he's still getting harassed even recently, he wouldn't be in that place, man. So just looking at all these victims that I've talked to and become to know, like, man, they're all doing really well. And I think that if they hadn't gone through that shit, they definitely wouldn't be where they are now. So even though it sucked, uh, it's probably a little bit of a blessing in disguise, really. But yeah, I
You,
think that I grew from it. I've learned from it, and just again, man, fine. The life is never gonna stop coming after you. This is like this shit's gonna something like this is gonna happen again. Okay, well, how do I take that and turn it into a win, right? How do you do that? That's the key to life, and not just being this victim mentality. And yeah, I'm gonna screw things up all the time. Like this stuff
one
with this, I
thousand
could have done way
percent,
better, right?
one
No,
thousand percent.
own it. Stop being a victim. Take the wheel, because we're all gonna be victims of life, man. Life is just going to kick you between the legs every chance it gets. It's just going to do it. So fucking learn to deal with it.
I think there's something beautiful about coming out the other end of the tunnel. When you're dealing with adversity, there's that quote that there's beauty in struggle, and obviously
Mhm.
the struggle you went through caused you to meet people and excel in life because you had the willpower to fight through it. The same willpower that had you fight through fucking, you know, getting shot to shit. The same willpower that helped you get through infantry, that helped you get through the SF course, to help you get through everything in life. It's the same willpower that made it so you were able to make it out this tunnel successful and maybe even happier, because
Mhm.
like you said, you were losing your sanity, you were losing parts of you that you didn't even know that were there. So I guess in turn, without this, you wouldn't have even known that you were strong enough to come through something like this.
Yeah, and I got to
So,
learn a lot about people too, right? Like
oh yeah,
there was people in my command when other like just coming up there like, well, you're lucky we don't investigate you for X, Y, and Z, or like this stuff in Syria. I'm like, man, I don't know. I've had one investigation my entire 27 and a half years in the military that was anything significant, which was on this. I got all my good conduct medals. I got 3 Valor Awards. I got 3 Purple Hearts. Like I think I put out a pretty successful career, but I was like, look, you can't say that to me as a high ranking person that I'm lucky. That's an unethical statement. What do you mean I'm lucky now? I'm not lucky to have a leader that's going to sweep some shit under the rug. You're going to that a sergeant major did some shit and you're going to let him get away with it? No, I forced our command to fucking do an investigation. I mean, they're like, we don't want to do that. I don't give a fuck. You guys said that I did some shit that was wrong. You were going to investigate it. And if I did those things, you were going to hold me accountable. And if I didn't, and you're just running your mouth, you're trying to intimidate me, we need to have a conversation about that. And guess what? The investigation found that it's nothing there, and they conveniently swept it under the rug, saying they look like a bunch of dumbasses. But don't say shit like I'm lucky. Like, I'm not lucky to have a fucking leader. Like, no, say it, do an investigation, hold me accountable. I should not never be above the law, that kind of shit. But I learned a lot about people. And yeah, they were like all pissed off about that. Like, nah, man, I'm not playing this fucking game. Like, do an investigation. Like, yeah, it was a very short investigation. And they're like, oh wow, Chuck's that's actually the motherfucker he says he is. That's weird.
I love that. This is kind of why I love this podcast shit, bro, because you get to meet somebody and find out the kind of person they are, and it's not through words that are said. Sometimes it's how they're said, or the context, or the content in which they're saying it. And like I said, integrity is big with me, and the shit that you're telling me is very integrity heavy, man. And I respect it. I respect it a whole lot, Chuck. That's some real shit right there, and it's something that people can look up to. Because accountability is a big fucking issue right now.
Yeah.
Nobody holds themselves accountable for shit. and the second you stop holding yourself accountable, you've completely fucking lost yourself. And through that, I can say, you know, I respect the shit out of you, Chuck. I really do, buddy. That's huge, man. And I'm very glad to be able to have this conversation.
Appreciate it. And people need to get over like, and maybe it doesn't go your way. Like one of the things, like, well, if we open this investigation, they find something that could fuck your whole career. I'm like, good. If I did something wrong, I should be held accountable. What the fuck is your problem? Like, maybe sometimes you gotta be willing to sacrifice everything and burn in for what you know is the right thing, regardless of what the consequences are, whether it's going around a corner and fighting to save a dude's life and you might get shot, or doing the right thing in a workplace where you have to own your own fucking mistakes and maybe you get fired for it. Just own it, man. Or you write a book that says you had 50 grenades and all this other bullshit that's not real. Like, just own it, man. Like, yep, I I fucked that up, man. I don't actually have a Valor Award or didn't do this shit. And fucking move on, man, and then go do badass stuff and take your life and go do something that has a positive impact on everything around you, man. Like every day should be like, how am I living my life today to where I'm having some kind of positive impact on
Fucking
others
right.
in the world around me. And if you can do that, man, you'll be pretty. I go to sleep at night, I'm pretty fulfilled because I know that even though I'm a human, I'm infinitely fallible, and I'm going to do and say stupid shit. And I'm going to get emotional and hurt people I don't want to hurt. At the end of the day, I know, like, hey, man, I'm going to at least make the attempt to have a positive impact. It's going to be very imperfect, but and then own your shit. When you own your shit, man, like, hey, man, like, except like, you know this, true. Like, there's something in a relationship where there's a girlfriend or a wife, like, you can know you're fucking wrong, and you're like, man, I'm just gonna dig in right now. There's no way at this dinner table I'm admitting fault, even though I know, like, I've got to be a man of integrity. And then that always leads to you being in trouble because she knows that
I
you
know my
know that
wife.
you're wrong.
I know my wife is never going to watch this. She's in the Netherlands right now visiting her family. But yeah, there's so many times. There's so many times where we've had conversations about stuff, and then what's funny is I'll dig in, right? I'll dig in. Sometimes it's because I genuinely forgot, but I'm like, there's no way that could have been what I did or said in the past.
Mhm.
And then it comes back to me eventually, and then we'll have another conversation, and she'll be like, "You still never admitted to it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "No, you never admitted to it." So like, she's like, "Now you're gaslighting me." And I'm like, "No, I promise you, I really admitted it."
Yeah. That's, I don't know what it is. There's something in relationships where, like, you know, like, and they know that you're wrong, and you're like, or and vice versa too, because she'll do the same thing, right?
Yep.
And it's just a matter of trying to prove a point. You're like, all right,
a lot of that is emotions in the moment, right? You know,
mm-hmm.
at least for me, sometimes when that happens, it's an ego thing.
Yep.
Where it's like, I don't give a fuck. This is my double down moment. But again, it comes back to the shit that we were talking about, right? Where like you give it like 20 minutes and you can come back and be like, yeah, I kind of fucked that up a little bit. I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I was wrong. Just I was a little bit wrong.
My wife's got a crazy good memory. So
Yeah.
when she is confident in something and I am actually right, I can see like in her eyes that now she's really questioning her sanity because it does not happen very often that I'm really right. And then it'll click for her and she's like, oh shit.
Maybe I'm wrong for that, but that's my favorite fucking moment ever. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong for that. But once you see the gears start turning in their head, like, oh shit, is he right? The fucking cynical smile that comes over my face because now I gotta rub it in a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and that's that was kind of how the other podcast name came about, the He's Wrong, She's Right title. And I was just being funny about it, but I cannot tell you how many times that, like, just the name of the podcast has been somebody's opening statement to, well, they're pissed off about something that we said. Oh, of course, this simp who thinks his wife is always right would say something stupid like this. I'm like, God, the joke just really went right over your head.
Yeah, it's a D1 rage bait right there.
Yeah.
It's a D1 fucking rage bait. Drew, you got any other questions?
No, other than, you know, who will be thrown in the trunk.
We've had fucking Chuck here for like 2.5 hours and shit, kind of picking this man's brain.
Appreciate your time.
I'll answer the question that I know you want to ask anyway. Um, and that's like, hey man, like you spent 27 and a half years in the military. We just had this conversation, and looking at you, Chuck, like why did you join the military? Like why weren't you like a male model? Because you clearly could have been really successful. And I get asked that all the time. And I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for you. You know, I chose my life, and that's what it
This
was.
motherfucker
You wouldn't have been
here,
able to
man.
share
This
if you were a male model.
Motherfucker here. No,
And
the real.
the next question I get all the time, man, I just got a normal sized penis. It's like 7.5 inches. It really is not that big.
No, the
And I
real
do
question
normally.
is. No, my real question to you is.
I grew my butthole, man. It's not.
Would you?
It doesn't look like I butt squeeze a tarantula. I do.
Man, would you do the diaper challenge? That's my real question.
I don't know. It depends on how much money we're talking. If it's just
No.
free, no, that's fucking some sick shit. Like, ain't.
See, Drew, you sick motherfucker. You agreed to that shit, bro. You agreed to that shit.
Yep.
Now somebody's like, hey man, I'll pay you $10. Not $10. But I do it for $10? Maybe, I don't know. Like you can pay me $10,000 and if I'm the one shitting in the diaper, I'll do that. I ain't cleaning up somebody else's poop. I can't. I gag when I'm cleaning up dog poop.
Yep.
I don't think I could be on either end of that. I don't know if I could physically lift my legs for another.
You don't want them up there.
I don't think.
It could be good, especially if you don't like the person. Like, and you're also like you've held a fart, so when he opens the diaper, you're like fucking blowing it everywhere.
You are a nasty motherfucker. You know that, Chuck? You are a nasty motherfucker.
And you're the whole time you're like, "Way!" You're crying.
See, this is the shit. This is what happens, man. This is what happens when I get around you, motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
This is what happens. No, I really want to thank you for coming on, Chuck, and you know, walking us through this crazy ass fucking situation that you call life is. It was definitely a pleasure, and it was definitely something to listen to. So we definitely appreciate you letting us, you know, dig through that fucking insane brain that had a crack down the middle of it.
Well, I'm gonna send you guys the link to the Google Drive. When you guys read through that shit, you're like, what?
I need that.
Crazy. You're like, there's stuff in there. You're like, there's no fucking way. And you like look at the annex where it has like the evidence to back up what this dude's saying. You're like, man, what the fuck?
I need that because that might become a whole different video for me where I just completely do a walkthrough of that shit of just the evidence itself.
Yeah, and it also has a way to contact all the people too. So you question like, is this shit real? Or did Chuck maybe call that person like, oh man, that's some real shit. Like, holy fuck.
That's some shit. That is some shit, man. That is some absolute shit. So, as always, man, it's been a pleasure. And like we said for the pilot, if you guys have any constructive criticism, don't be a dickhead. We know the difference about how we run this show, man. Definitely leave them in the comments because this is still a work in progress for us. Chuck, thank you again. Drew, you diaper wearing motherfucker. Thank you for making this happen, man. So yeah.
But if you did the diaper thing, man, you could like if somebody did, I would immediately send it to their mom, like or whoever, because if somebody,
yeah,
you could always just have that. You could like randomly online just post that on one of their comments all the time, like what the
craziest blackmail.
No, I don't think I'd like to. I don't think I would like to talk about that, man. We're you know what? That's it. I'm done with the diaper conversation. As always, y'all. Love, peace, and chicken grease, man. We're gonna get out of here. Chuck, thank you again, man.
All right, man. Later.
All right, Cash, you can close it out.
Trunk tails! Trunk tails! Trunk tails! Grimzy, bacon father! Trunk tails! Trunk tails! Trunk tails! Grimzy, bacon father! Sit up front, sit and talk. We ain't here to ball and mark. The front seat is where great minds meet, while the big picture comes into focus. Come and ride, take pride. You are listening to Trunk Tales. Talk from Main Street. I'm a matter of all that matters. Educated on the beat of where DC, Wall Street meet.